is Australia's premier motorsport category.
24 cars on the grid launch into action.
Having wowed fans both nationally and internationally since its beginnings in the mid-90s.
Oh, goodness me!
Known for its door-to-door, uncompromising racing, the cars feature big horsepower V8 engines in sedans with close DNA links to the road-going models. Today's Virgin Australia Supercars Championship is run over 14 rounds across Australia and New Zealand, taking in challenging street races and purpose-built national and regional circuits. The series is made famous by its signature race at the famous Mount Panorama Circuit.
Who will the mountain choose today?
Where teams compete over a grueling 1,000 kilometres for the prestigious Peter Brock Trophy, named after the 9-time winner of the Great Race. Over the years, the sport has made household names of drivers such as Mark Skaife, Craig Lowndes and our reigning champion, Scott McLaughlin.
And the next step in the evolution of supercars begins tonight. How cool is this? Welcome to the Gfinity Studios in Sydney, Australia, as we get set for the Gfinity Supercars Eseries, brought to you by Shannons. And this is going to be so much fun. Welcome wherever you're watching around the world on Fox Sports, either on the Twitch streams that we have going out, on kosupercars.com. We're going out on so many different ways right now. Bryony Ingerson, you're going to be joining me for this whole series. We're going iRacing tonight, something new.
Absolutely. It's been a huge week in motorsport and sport. I think I'm more excited about this than the AFL Grand Final between the GWS Giants and Richmond. And Chad, if you are going to the G for the Grand Final, don't forget to take your own pies, because there won't be any there on that day.
Thank you very much for reminding me about how that one worked out. Maybe I should try iFooty or something, and maybe I'll get a little bit better with that one. Really looking forward to how this is all going to play out. iRacing is the game. We're making that switch to live sim racing tonight with all 12 drivers in the studio, and that is a totally different element.
It's unheard of, really, to have all of the drivers here tonight. We'll touch on that in a minute. Here's the format and rules for this year's series. 6 rounds, 3 races per round, apart from the Bathurst Enduro, which is round 2. There are 12 drivers representing 10 teams, and in each race there is one compulsory pit stop where 4 tyres must be changed. The only thing is you cannot change your tyres on the last lap.
Yeah, we're going to have reverse grid races for race 2 as well, which is exciting. 50 points for the winner tonight, but when we go through to round 2, which is in a couple of weeks before Bathurst, that's an enduro, so 250 Ks and 150 points to win that race. So lots to look forward to coming up in this series. You can drop 2 races in terms of points, so if you have a couple of bad ones, but there is real money up for grabs.
Exactly. First place, $10,000, 10,000 big ones, which 12 drivers here tonight would love to win that, but also bragging rights, because we have 12 world-class sim racing drivers here tonight. There's a lot on the line.
One of which has actually just got off the plane from Germany this morning, who was competing in one of the World Championships for Porsche iRacing. These are the very, very best that we have in Australia competing tonight, signed up by some real supercars teams. We'll touch on that in a moment. But let's first look at what we've got lying ahead. Now, it's important to realise here, Bryony, we've only got 3 Aussie tracks built into iRacing.
That's right.
So the good news here is we get to dream, what if? What would supercars look like on some of the world's best circuits? And that's what we've got.
Exactly, and we start tonight with Phillip Island, and then we head to Monza and Suzuka. Cannot wait for that. As we mentioned, the Bathurst Endurance Round, Mount Panorama. Then we head over to the Americas for round 3, Sonoma Raceway, Watkins Glen and Laguna Seca, before making the jaunt over to Europe.
Yeah, we've got Nürburgring, that's the GP circuit, not the full Nordschleife if you're wondering. Zandvoort, Le Mans, that is the full Circuit de la Sarthe, that's a long lap. And then 3 races in England, so Silverstone, Alton Park and Brands Hatch, that's the GP circuit. And how cool is this? Look at the 14th race in the championship, old school.
It is so cool. Oran Park, it doesn't exist anymore, but we still get to revisit it on iRacing, and we will round it out with Phillip Island and Mount Panorama. So the Aussie trio to round out the series on November 16th.
6 rounds and 16 races. Really looking forward to this all beginning. Like I mentioned, some supercars buying. We've got Walkinshaw Andretti United. We've got 888. We've got Brad Jones Racing, Boost Mobile Racing, Gary Rogers Motorsport here as well, but also some bespoke esports teams as well. So let's get to meet the 12 drivers representing these teams.
I've been racing for 7 or so years now. Proudest achievement would have to have been what come really recently, winning the VRS GT iRacing World Championship Series. For me, personally, I'm normally the humble guy. I don't like to kind of showboat. You know, the never give up attitude is always something I like to try and strive towards. and nothing's ever over until you cross the line of that checkered flag. So you never know what can happen, and you always got to stick it out.
I've been sim racing for just about 3 years now. Being with Red Bull Holden Racing Team's been an amazing experience so far. The Supercars Eseries means to me quite a bit because it's perhaps one of my closest chances to really excel and, you know, fight for a championship that I'm really strong in. If I was winning, it would be for sure a bucket list item.
I've raced the V8 on iRacing for a long time now. I love, like, racecraft. I like the chess match of, like, trying to work out your opponent's weaknesses and attack those, and the thinking part of racing is so interesting to me. I'm excited to just get out there and just start turning laps. I'm really nervous, but I'll do my best.
I started sim racing in 2015. I was watching Supercars at the time, and I really wanted to know what the drivers were going through, as I didn't grow up racing myself. So I got into sim racing as my own way to live that life. And I've always liked cars since I was a kid. I used to draw these little side-on shots and watch Too Fast and Furious when I was younger, and it's just progressed from there. And I found circuit racing, and that's what I love, and that's what I want to do.
Raced competitively in iRacing since 2010, late 2010. Since then, I've won 10 iRacing V8 Supercar Championships, 9 in the iRacing Official Series, and 1 in a series called the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. So yeah, V8 Supercar is pretty much all I've done for the last 9 years in iRacing. So this new Gfinity Eseries works quite well for me. And to be involved with Supercars, to be involved with Shannons, to be on Fox Sports, to be on KO, everything about it is just so much bigger than what we're used to, so I can't wait.
I'm quite a competitive person, so being in team sports is all about working together and whatnot, but having that responsibility on yourself to push yourself further, and if you make a mistake, then it's on you. So I think that pressure and that competitive desire is great. Obviously the round one's going to be very difficult. We're all equal, so that'll be the big mix-up round, that's for sure.
I'm really keen to showcase my talent to everyone and show what I'm about. Ever since 2016, 2017, I've been forging my way into the big game in V8s. Definitely winning the Supercars, the draft, was definitely a big achievement for me. I've been pumped for the last 2 months, I think, wired to get started and get going.
I always like to race against the best. I won 2 iRacing Bathurst 1000s, and also I won a World Championship race last year alongside Josh Rogers, so that was a pretty awesome achievement as well. I'm super excited to get this underway. It's going to be an awesome event, the first live round as well. The atmosphere is going to be awesome in that, and I'm looking forward to the series as it progresses.
I actually started real-life racing in 2006 in go-karts. When I was 7 years old, just wanted to do it. And I got to a point where I realised that real-life track time isn't infinite. So, you know, I wanted to come home and go racing, not just do it on the weekends. So I got into sim racing about 2010. I've raced all of these guys before, and to beat them would be fantastic. But for me, I just really want to be able to further my career in real-life racing through this series.
I've been sim racing since 2014, somewhat of a veteran. I think my strengths probably are being consistent, trying to minimise mistakes and make the most of opportunities as they pop up. It's a big competition and there's a lot of, you know, spotlight on it. It would be massive to win.
Started 2009, I think it was. Won a few championships here and there, a couple of online V8 Supercar championships. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Didn't sleep last night, trying to get in the mind space to get underway, and this is a big shift in E-Series in Australia and e-sports in general. We're here to have some fun, but we're also here to win, so we'll see what we can do.
And one of the faces that we didn't see in that package is Ian Ford. Ian, welcome. And there is a very good reason why you didn't make the media day along with the rest of the drivers.
That's it. Became a father for the first time, so that was quite
Congratulations.
Quite an experience. It's been a difficult road for the last week. I've been sleeping like a teenager, about 2 hours a night, but managing to squeeze in laps as well as changing diapers. So.
Good stuff. All right, you've got your chance now. Give us a snapshot of where you're from, what have you done, how happy you are to be here.
That's it. I'm from Gatton in Queensland. It's like a major trip to actually get down here. It's like I started racing in about 2008 with karting. Obviously had to change over from that and concentrate on education. And since then, I've been doing iRacing since about 2010. I've won a couple of championships, raced in the World Championship as well. Just haven't nailed a major Bathurst win, so hopefully we can tick that one off next round.
All right, great to have you here tonight as part of the Boost Mobile Racing team. Good luck.
Thank you.
Nice work, Bryony. Congratulations to Ian and the new family as well down there at Boost Mobile Racing. So one of the cool things we're going to have throughout the entire series, we'll have a guest driver from the Supercars Championship or the Super 2 Championship joining us at the desk. Let's find out who our very first driver is for season 2019. And how about we make some noise for Scott Pye from the Walkinshaw and Andretti United crew, Mobil 1 racer. Scotty Pye in the house today, and 29 years of age from Adelaide originally. And you guys have got a race team here racing tonight, a two-car operation.
We do, with a fellow South Australian in there as well, with Jared, but excited to see how the boys go. Obviously here supporting them. Slightly biased tonight though, but excited to see this get underway.
Now we've seen Jared, particularly a local South Australian, spending some time in the Walkinshaw Andretti United garage at the Bend. So he's had a little bit of an assimilation into the Supercars team. But what about you in terms of sim racing? What's your experience?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, it was great to have Jared at Tail and Bend with us, and it's you know, we're going to try and integrate them as much as possible, and it's a real investment the teams are making to be a part of this series, and I think that's what that showed. But for me, sim racing, not so much online. I've never really done a lot of online racing, but I use the sim a lot. So I've got a simulator at home which I use, and when I lived in Europe racing Formula Ford and Formula 3, I was in it a couple of days a week with a coach and learning all the circuits and everything, because as we know, track time's limited in the real world, and simulator racing was the best thing for me. So I was able to go to the tracks all around Europe, Monza being one of them, which we see the guys race on tonight, and learn the circuits before I got there in the real thing.
Cool.
So we've got Phillip Island, Monza and Suzuka tonight. You haven't raced at Suzuka, but like you mentioned, you have obviously raced, what's one of the coolest tracks ever. But this place, you know, pretty damn well. You've been on the podium here before as well in a supercar. Let's go for a lap at the island.
It's a special place. I mean, turn one's amazing. It's so fast on the way in, and it's a short run to turn two, so you can really attack the entry of one there. Two, double apex. Depends how much front your car's got. In qualifying and in practice, if you're in clean air, it's a lot easier, but behind another car, that double apex is really important. But exit curb doesn't really unsettle the car too much, so you can get pretty hard into the power there and get your run up to Honda.
I think the talking points we're going to have tonight, this track is typically in the real world very high on tyre degradation, and that's going to transfer tonight. So tyre deg, tyre temps, tyre pressures, car setups and damage, all very much on and very much simulated.
Yeah, definitely, and track position's really key around here. So I think the undercut's going to be big. I think we can potentially see some people take a stop early, but clean air around here is so important. It's you know, the corners are all very long, so downforce, when you're behind another car, it's affected massively, and we see it on the sim racing as well.
So turn 4 early in the lap, a great spot to try and make a pass, but this is where you need to set up maybe the second best passing opportunity?
Yeah, there's Honda and MG are two key parts to overtaking. The rest is pretty tough, but certainly over looky heights, if you've got a good car under brakes, rear stability, you can stick the nose in here and really try and, you know, muscle the other guy out of the way, but you can also stay on the outside out of MG, and then you're on the inside for these last two corners. So it offers up some good racing, opportunity to do the switchback. We've seen plenty of door rubbing through this last corner in real life.
Pit entry just over to the left. One thing that's very easy to do here is get on the throttle too early and find yourself out there.
Oh, big tank
stuff. Greg Murphy moment.
Yeah, nearly off and completely in the fence. We see that quite a bit in supercars and out on the grass. So that was a lap around Phillip Island. This is qualifying highlights, and we've found our very first pole sitter of the year driving for the Shannons team tonight. It's Madison Down who's put the 77 on the pole at the island. So that is a huge start for Madison Down. Congratulations. He's ticked the first box.
It is. Looking at the times though as well, there's only, you know, it's under 7:10, so I think it covered the field. So done a good job, but it's easy. You make a small mistake around here and it flows for such a long part of the lap, so you end up, you know, with a 6 or 7:10 field spread, it's easy to lose a lot of positions.
Josh Rogers, who's fresh off the plane from Germany, just 19 years of age, second quickest today. Dane Warren driving for the Red Bull Holden racing team, so great to see Triple Eight have an involvement in this series. Just the one driver, and they've pinned it all, ironically, on a guy called Dane, which is very, very cool to see. And he was quick. He did have an off as well, though, in this qualifying session. We'll get to that in a moment. Richard Hampstead, who's driving the Next Level racing entry, and they are all in Next Level rigs this week. I should mention as well, they will have their own gear at home, but they're on Logitech wheels and pedals today with the Next Level rigs today in the rig sim. So we saw him line up in 4th position, so it's a pretty good looking top 4, but this was the big moment. Turn 1, it's fast, and if you get it wrong, it's pretty wild.
I say deep, but I think his biggest problem there was miss the apex. Never really got it in. You drop a wheel on the way in there, you're in real trouble. I think you're probably going to join the exit at turn 2 there.
So that was qualifying done. Grid set for the first race, and Bryony, we have our very first pole sitter.
Yeah, we sure do. Madison, congratulations. What better way to do it in front of some of your Shannon supporters here tonight, making lots of noise. Congratulations. How good is that? How good does it feel to get the first pole position in the Gfinity Supercar Eseries?
Yeah, fantastic. Very happy to have the Shannons car up the front of the field tonight. Excellent lap in quali. Really, really happy with the speed. But yeah, eyes forward for the race.
How does it feel to qualify sitting physically next to your rivals? Because this is a very new experience for all of you, I imagine.
Yeah, correct. Very strange. Usually we're at online at home, not sitting next to each other. So very, very weird indeed to have everyone here. It's
kind of like an iRacing version of Tinder. Like you meet online and then you get together physically, but then you're actually racing against each other. That analogy didn't work at all. I'll put some work into that. Yeah, okay, thank you. Guys, back to you.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm with you, Bryony, on that one. Sure, let's go with it. We are set to go racing. We're not too far off from dropping the hammer on the opening night of the Gfinity Supercars Eseries. Round 1, race 1, coming up after this.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip to London and the 2020 Goodwood Revival, one of the biggest historic motorsport events in the world. Plus, tour through the English countryside in a Jaguar F-Pace for 15 days, visiting historic locations and unique motoring museums, with up to $5,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win a new Indian FTR 1200S motorcycle. To enter, get a quote on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive, your bike or home. Take out a new policy for even more chances of winning. Call Shannons on 13 46 46 or go online today.
You are watching the Gfinity Supercars Eseries, and we are getting set to go racing for the first race of the night. Phillip Island, the location. Madison Down is the pole sitter. This is iRacing, and this is the Gfinity Supercars Eseries, brought to you by Shannons. Fantastic to have Shannons support. Fantastic to have the Logitech wheels set up and ready to go. They're queuing up behind a Shannons driver at Madison Down. Josh Rogers, fresh off the plane from Germany, like we mentioned. How's that going to affect him today? Dane Warren for Red Bull out of P3. A few other interesting drivers to watch out for. We heard from Emily earlier. She's got her own live studio audience, Emily Jones, in the Workplace Law crowd ready to go. the second of the Walkinshaw Andretti cars further back in ninth. Ian Ford and Brady Myers. Brady actually topped the pre-season draft, so he'll be disappointed with his opening qualifying effort. Watch him to come off the back of the grid.
Especially seeing as he's had a haircut since that intro package.
Yes.
He said to me that it would take, he'd get at least 3/10 advantage with his haircut, but he probably needs to have another haircut.
Needs to grow it back again.
Yeah, maybe.
There's not a lot of drag in this room.
True, we've got the aircon on pretty high. I don't know about that. The pit window. Now, 12-lap race. You can't pit that early, or can you? I guess the undercut is big.
It is, and also around here, track position, like we said earlier, is so important. I think you could pit pretty early. I think go aggressive, get track position, and then fight like mad to hang on to it. But
are you brave enough to put a lap on it? How early is early? If you pit it on lap 1 or 2, surely you're not going to be able to get home on rubber from there.
Is it 12 laps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, early, maybe lap 4,
Okay.
I would say, lap 3.
Lap 4's a good guess. All right, we're on the grid. We're ready. I hope you enjoy this. We have made the move to iRacing for season 2019, and they are all queued up on the grid at Phillip Island for the first race of the season. Let's go with the Gfinity Supercars Eseries, brought to you by Shannons. We've got a green flag at the island. It's a clean start. All 12 away and racing on the grass already. It's one of the Boost Mobile cars. I think that was Ethan Grigalt. And it's Madison Down. He'll swing through to the lead. Aggressive mood, Richard Hampstead. And around the outside goes Josh Muggleton. So clean start through turn 1 and into Southern Loop.
It all settled down more than I thought it was going to by 1. I thought there'd be more on the outside.
Still the Boost cars have been dropping to the back here. Jared Filsell stuck down there as well behind Ethan Grigalt. So Ethan didn't get the start that he wanted. The swing through Stoner corner. This will be a good passing opportunity. 2 wide action. That's Brenton Hobson on the inside in the raw entry. Oh no, the 2 teammates. Was it the teammates who got together? And there's contact at the back of the field. I think it might have been the 2 Boost cars.
That's awkward.
I know it's the Fox Sports entry of Brady Myers. So Myers caught up in that one. Surely, Scott, those 2 cars will have steering damage.
It's almost a flashback to Premat and Courtney, yes. I think it was back in the day. But it's so easy to do around there. It's such a quick corner on the way into Honda, and if you get offline there and touch the grass, it's just impossible to stop before the end.
There is a gravel trap over to driver's right, but they were so close to the racetrack that it wasn't anywhere near that gravel trap. So a couple cars potentially with damage early.
That's going to be tough. In these short races, you lose that much track position. It's pretty hard to get it back. And qualifying is just, the field spread is so short. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to recover from that.
Joshua's not letting Madison get away here at all, though, is he? This is really good to see. A really aggressive start from Joshua.
It'll be interesting to see if the draft is big in these. We're going to see it here, but I think the place to set it up is you go through Stoner corner and then into Honda, getting out under brakes there. If he can stay close enough through there, I think that's where he's going to try and get it done.
Well, there's the slipstream effect.
You see they're so deep on the brakes into one there, and it's a short run. This will be hard to get down the inside here. I think Honda's where he'll have a crack. We have seen in the middle here the apex. Being a double apex, you can sometimes get your nose in there, but I think you'll see that later in the race when the tyres start to degrade.
Saw Scott McLaughlin pull that move on Jamie Whincup a couple of years ago. Going through the loop. 5 for 30s on Hampstead on the defensive side. And that was Dane Warren around the outside at Stoner. Watch out for Emily Jones. 3rd car in this battle pack. And just pulls out of the move. Although Hampstead checks up mid-corner. The workplace, or just might be able to muscle their way through, not quite.
I reckon you got to have a crack at the bump and run there in the middle, don't you? Just walk on wide and use the bumpers. Inside.
We do have a driver stand-up observer, Craig Dontis, watching the action live in Adelaide. We have a pit reporter watching the action live from Melbourne. This is racing in a virtual world as we go through the hay shed.
See, I would have found out who the racing observer was at the start, got in nice and friendly with Craig, put in a good word. This is a good spot here. There's a few cars which I think could have a crack here.
Goes Jake Burton to the inside of Emily Jones.
You've got to walk her wide there and try and not give her an option into that left. But yeah, we can see that. We talked about that earlier, being able to hang around the outside of MG.
Anyone brave enough to pit early? Here comes the pit entrance. Yes. Josh Muggleton.
Jake's in trouble here if he can't get back in. Fortunately, there's a little gap there behind Emily, but managed to stay on the outside. It's pretty good.
Emily extremely kind with the racing room on the outside. Side by side. Live speeds for these cars as well as we approach 270 k's an hour down the front straight. And they're still side by side.
Surely she can't hang on there. That's, you get offline.
Right.
There we go.
She has. And finally, after 3 or 4 corners, she's got it done.
Good. Jake's in trouble here. I think you'll be able to hang on here and be on the inside for Honda. He's just got to keep that side draft tucked in there.
He's been on the outside for half a lap.
Let's not forget that we've got Jake Burton's, teammate manager / owner as such. Brad Jones is in the audience tonight. Hello, Brad.
Very nice bright yellow
Brad's,
Dunlop shirt.
Exactly. And he's looking on intently, almost as if this is a real supercar race. This is great, high intensity.
Well, there's real stakes in this, isn't there? So, I mean, it's good. We see the teams, they're so invested in this. I was talking to Ryan earlier, and he was spewing that he couldn't be here tonight. So, yeah, to have some of the team owners here, it shows the investment that they're making in this category.
Well, I mentioned we've got Jonathan Simon, our Melbourne-based pit reporter. Jonathan, we've seen an early pit stop with Josh Muggleton. That is a brave play.
Well, so 9 seconds. Normally it takes about 8 seconds to change all 4 tyres. But the critical thing, and as Scott said, he has track position and clear air at the rear end of the field. So look out for him. Once everybody else makes their stops, Muggo could actually end up a few positions ahead.
Right, thank you to Jonathan Down in Melbourne. He's our iRacing expert. Has competed for international teams and done a lot of heavy lifting in the iRacing world.
It'll be interesting to see what front tyre temp's like here. We see the track temp is really high, but when you're following another car and you've got a little bit more understeer because you're losing that front grip, you're going to just cook the front tyre there. And I think it's Josh there we're seeing with a bit of understeer through turn 1, and the fronts just won't hang on if it stays like that.
And just to give viewers an idea, so the ambient temperature is 24. That's set for all 3 races tonight. The track temperature, though, here, ranging between 50 to 60, is that what we're...
Which is
high 50s.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, those temperatures, the tyres just won't last. That's why it's so brave to go as early as they have in the stop. But, yeah, I think in the next couple of laps we'll see the next stoppers for sure. But being behind another car is just going to increase tyre temperature even more.
So Muggleton first to pit for the Knight Rider team. So straight onto a fresh set of tyres. Needs to really maximise his outlap and his clean racetrack. And was very much mid-pack before he made that pit stop.
In that position, it's a good opportunity to take that stop, you know, to get out of the train. And, you know, he'll also be able to manage the tyres and bring them up at his own rate without the understeer or fighting another car at the moment.
So that is Muggleton driving around a very lonely race when you're the first to pit. He's all the way over, driving up towards Siberia, and leaders are approaching pit entry now. So if anyone's going to try and cover off Josh, and I wonder if they know that he's pitted, because the guys at the front obviously wouldn't have seen him come in, but now we see the leaders come in.
Coming in, if you're the second car as well, there's a bit of an advantage here being able to close up under braking. Looks like they've all really maximised that entry there. That's a tricky one to get right.
So Madison Down and Josh Rogers come in. Richard Hampstead continues in the next level. Commodore, he's the new leader of the race. And the rejoin here between Josh Muggleton and the guys that are in the pits right now will be telling. That is almost the motor race right there. So this is a hugely important lap for Richard Hampstead. Needs to absolutely crush this inlet. Back to Muggleton, and he's whipping his way around and onto the front straight now. So watch for the leaders coming out of the pits. As Muggleton whips by, did they get out in time to cover him off?
Looks like it, yeah.
They're clear down at Southern Loop, so not getting a huge advantage in the undercut that time, Josh Muggleton.
That gap's closed a little bit, and I'd say now, though, this is where Jared needs to pounce before those tyres get too hot sitting in behind him. He's got to stay close here through Stoner, and he's just a little bit too far back this lap.
Josh did manage to jump Burton, Greg Gould and Jones. Maybe not Greg Gould, but definitely Jones and Burton. So it was worth it at least for a couple spots, but what sort of tyre life will he have at the end of the race?
You'd want to make sure, if you pit that early, you've got to be careful on those first few laps not to take too much out of the tyre, because you're going to need it later now.
Might sound funny to someone who's new to sim racing, but all this stuff does count. You drive the car just like you would in the real world, especially when it comes to tyre wear.
Yeah, definitely. And through Hayshed there, it actually looks like it's only marginally flat, if at all. So you're going to want to make sure you're conserving the tyre a little bit through there. For us, it's pretty easy flat now, but if the car's moving around at any point there, that's a spot where you can give up some tyre life for not losing a lot of lap time. So you'd want to lift off there and just conserve a bit.
So Hampstead, Hobson, Ford, first, second, third yet to pit. Leaders go past the pit stop entrance again.
It's not too dissimilar to what we've seen in the real world. You know, that field spread between first and second, it's really hard to close that gap up around here.
The onboard vision here too, Scott, is that similar to the views that you get from your actual race car?
Yeah, definitely. Normally not sitting on the passenger side, but from the driver's perspective, I guess it's probably close. But one thing about Phillip Island, everyone talks about the scenery and how picturesque it is, but we just don't get much opportunity to look at it, and I'm sure these guys are the same. But sitting here, it is realistic, but you're so entrenched in that battle. You're really just focusing on the cars around you.
So we can see there on the left, that is our effective race leader when the pit stops are completed. That is Madison Down.
There's not too many funny faces there yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
We wear race helmets because I think I pull some strange ones. I've seen Chaz on a sim before and he chews his tongue and it's hanging out. I drive with my mouth wide open, so I'd be interesting to look at, I think.
No change for the guys who have already served that first pit stop. So Hampstead's gone the opposite. Yeah, it's chewing off, isn't it? Badly going through the hay shed and up towards the top of Lukey Heights. Now Hampstead comes in. So should get an advantage later in the race.
Yeah, definitely. It just depends on what that dirty air is like following the cars in front as well that we're seeing. I think Josh just can't get close enough. So if you come out with fresher tyres, it's going to be your best shot, but it's still going to be difficult.
So Madison Down about to swing past the front straight now in the last corner. Josh Rogers in tow. And that's the view of the pit lane exit, so waiting to see where Hampstead comes out. So now it's Ian Ford, last to pit, new race leader. And these guys will be able to cover off Richard Hampstead pretty comfortably, but Hampstead will have the tyre life at the end of this race.
If I was Josh, I mean, right now you're going to be thinking about just putting your nose out, making sure you're covering his mirrors and trying to force an error, I think, you know, especially under brakes into Honda. This is a spot where you just put the nose down the inside. You're not really going to get the overtake done, but it might be enough that after a few laps it starts to play on his mind and get in and make a few mistakes.
Is it worth the risk? Race one of a brand new championship. They're not using the same pedals that they're used to using at home, so the hardest part is braking and making a move under brakes.
The hardest thing as a driver is you have to take the same mentality for every race. So everyone says, you know, it's the first race, you want to get some points on the board, but you've still got to take the same approach as you would for the last race of the championship, I think. You're not going to risk it more at the end of the championship than you would at the start. I think if he gets close enough, he'll have a crack.
And let's not forget too that in terms of dropping their two worst rounds for the championship, they're unable to do that for this round and the Bathurst Enduro round. So these first four races must count towards their championship.
You can drop your worst two races, but it has to happen early as well. So when we get to the final race of the championship, we'll actually know what we're looking at. Good battle pack this one, forming behind Jake Burton. I think Burton might have got clear of Muggleton here because Muggleton was first to pit and as a result might be starting to struggle a little bit. Pitted, it's lap 2 I think it was at the top of my head, so starting to struggle. Emily's a picture of focus.
Serious.
Yeah. She's got the eyes on right now. From Melbourne, spent a bit of time living in Japan. She's made the return trip back home to Melbourne.
If she's anything like Simona on track, she's very tough, so it'll be interesting to see how she gets involved in this.
Muggleton under serious pressure here from Ethan Grigol.
All keeping it really tight around there, which kind of, if they can keep it tight, it takes away an opportunity for overtaking there.
Muggleton has a long way to go. With this lap 8 of 12, and if he's out on his feet already on those tyres, he is going to struggle. He's going semi-defensive at Honda.
Deep. Can he pull it up?
Just. Grigol still working the back of that car.
Every lap he can keep him behind, though, he's going to be killing their tyres. So he's just got to try and hang on here for a few laps now.
So tyre temps in the following cars definitely feel the effect as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the front tyre particularly around here, there's not a lot of, you know, stop-start corners, but that front right tyre around here cops up a real hiding.
This car's looking a bit sorry after the opening lap
quite a bit of
crash.
damage on the front left there as well.
Popped a whack, didn't it, on that opening lap crash. And
he'll be feeling that because, as we've mentioned before, there is damage in this iRacing format.
And it is simulated, so I wonder if that's turned into a lap time. Ian Ford 1:33.8, so he's a second off the leader's pace. So that probably shows you just how hard that hit was. It's cost him a second. Oh, out wide. Was that Muggleton who ran wide, or was that Grigol? Tough to tell. It was Grigol. He's vulnerable here. This would be brave. Jones thinks better of it. Can't get the job done down into turn 1. Back to the now leader of the race, Madison Down, who's got back to the lead after the pit stop's been served.
Still close. We're seeing that 1 second gap between first and second. It's just so hard to close up around here. So he's positioning the car in the middle of the track as well, which then out of Stoner just eliminates any chance really of Josh being able to get an inside. But he's too far back at the moment. He's really going to have to I think at this point you try and maybe conserve a little bit and then come back in the last couple of laps.
The other driver had picked up pretty bad damage in that opening lap crash, Brady Myers, 1:34.9. So 2 seconds a lap off the pace. Now into the
he's
35s.
really struggling there, isn't he?
So, and he was, I think, an innocent victim. It's hard to see where that all started.
Just for a moment, I mean, how good does that car 2 look? Come on. Hey?
Nearly looks as good as the 22.
Yeah, you take that one number off and it just looks so good.
Does it?
But how impressive to get that livery turned around so quickly, because that only popped up for Pukekohe that
They have done a good job, all the liveries though. I mean, even looking at the back of the Red Bull car,
Yeah,
they've done such a good job. They look fantastic.
A big shout out to the entire Night Rider Motorsports team who have put together, Jake and the boys, not only the liveries for all these cars, they're giving themselves a nice round of applause, but a pretty cool spotter's guide as well. Yeah. You get the spotter's guide off the Supercars website if you want to check out these liveries up close. I'm pushing hard for a retro round as well, so let's see if we
Yeah,
can
how cool would retro round be?
leading up to Sandown. That'd be very
More
cool.
work for Jake. Jake is shaking his head going, no, please no.
Just got these ones complete. Back to this battle in the 28 of Hampstead.
So Warren's really starting to struggle with those tyres there. Not getting off the corner. It's the first thing you start to see as well is around here, that late rotation, you start to lose the front tyre and you start running wide and you can't get on the power. You're a little bit later to 100% throttle.
That's the wiggling down at turn 4. You can adjust anti-roll bars settings as well as brake bias from the cockpit, just like in the real world.
Hampstead pitted a little bit later, was that right?
Yes.
They're coming
yeah,
through
so
on...
it should have the tyre life substantially later. About 3 laps better tyre life around here. Should help with the track temps.
And that's Richard Hampstead in real life, IRL,
Yep.
the left-hand side of the screen, and the view from his machine on the right there.
Chance here at MG. He's got a wicked run through Lukey Heights. Dave Warren Smart just parks that car over to the right-hand side.
It's easy to do around here, especially Lukey Heights. You come across, you put the car in the middle of the track and you haven't moved. You're not moving under braking. It's just a good defensive move where you position the car off of the exit of Lukey and makes it near impossible for MG. But
he's half a chance of chasing down the leaders here, Scott, if he can get around that Red Bull car.
He's going to have to do it early.
He's got the speed. Lap times 1:33.8. So a tenth slower than the leader, despite the traffic.
Yeah, I think Stoner Corner again. He's staying really close. So tricky thing with Stoner Corner is it's not like turn 1 where you can just go in a little bit deeper and run wide on exit to prevent someone from overtaking. Into here, you brake too deep, you miss the apex, and you leave the door open. So we'll see what happens.
Hampstead pouring on the pressure again. Now we go turn 4. This will be a chance.
Big dive, go on.
Very defensive. There's definitely a bump. And off goes the Red Bull car. So a shot in the right rear.
It was like 06 championship or
it was a little
06?
bit. Yeah, Kelly versus Lowndes and Tanner involved. And
that's good.
Yeah, that was very similar. So how will they view that one in Adelaide?
Do you think the driving standards observer?
Oh, he's giving it back. He's
looks like he's redressing it. I think that's the
Probably
best.
Probably smart move.
Yeah, I think that the shame there is both cars were looking pretty speedy of taking them out of it, but to redress it straight away, they've got to do. I don't know how Craig's going to look at that after it's been redressed. There's obviously a disadvantage there still, but that was a smart thing to do, the right thing to do.
It's a shame though because he had the pace to chase down the leaders, but look at that gap now. It's gone. It's blown out to 4.1 seconds. Josh Rogers. I think Rogers is just about called off the search party as well on Madison Down. That's up to 1.5 seconds.
Good to have a crack though. You got to put it down and have a go.
We like that. We want aggressive. We went through and asked all the drivers in the lead up to this championship, explain yourselves in 3 words in your driving style: assertive, smooth, and loose. I like how contradictory that is for Richard Hampstead.
From one driver.
Yep, that was
right.
point of view.
I reckon that's how Van Gisbergen would describe himself, I reckon. I'd like to think he's smooth.
Assertive, smooth, and loose.
Yeah.
All in one.
Confused.
We're talking about on the racetrack, aren't we?
Yeah, he'd probably be listening.
He's an avid iRacer himself. So
it's good on here. No one can retaliate to anything I say.
Not right now.
Not until they're on the show next time. But
thankfully, there's not a really big important race coming up next.
I'll make the most
even
of it. Yeah, I'll smack talk them before Bathurst.
Last time up through.
He's really opened that lead up now.
Turn 4, yeah, that's 1.5 seconds.
Oh,
and the
rear lock.
is dancing around for the Holden Racing Team driver. Oh, that's a tricky switchback to make stick if he can do it. It's an awesome move if he can do it. Around the outside at Siberia, not quite.
Out of there, you've really got to be, if you're going to try and get up the inside, you've got to be wheel to wheel by the time you get to here, because by Hayshed. If you're on the outside anyway, you're not going to get it done.
One last chance, maybe down the hill into MG.
He'll have a go.
Surely, sizing him up. Scotty Pye's cheering him on to have a crack. That Holden Racing Team car is struggling mid-corner.
I think just switch back out of here, but then get to the inside for the last corner.
Or just have the overlap.
Keep it there.
Stick to the overlap. Oh, and not quite. That was a really, really good battle for third all the way to the checkered flag. Richard Hampstead couldn't quite make it stick. Josh Rogers will be home for second. And it's going to be Madison Down and the Shannons team.
Good race.
Take the win.
Good
That was
debut.
a really good race. Congratulations to Madison. Although, seeing Madison, unless something crazy happened in the game, Madison all of a sudden dropped down in the order a little bit there as well.
Looked like Muggleton.
I think he might have just been getting ready for the interview. So, well done.
Muggleton really hung in there as well, actually, with that early stop, finishing up 6th.
Well done, Bryony. We have our first race winner.
We sure do. Congratulations, Madison. You led from start to finish. A really strong result. How do you feel?
Oh, awesome. To win the first E-Series race for Shannons, that's fantastic. We couldn't have hoped for any more, so perfect race from where I sat.
They're pretty happy. Guess what? You're starting from the rear of the grid for the next one because it's reverse grid. It's at Monza. How do you feel about that circuit?
That's going to be really tough. From the back of the field, it's going to be a hell of a lot different to that race for me, so going to have to just eyes forward, try and pick them off one at a time.
All right, we'll let you enjoy this win for just a small moment, but then it's game face on for the next one.
Absolutely, thank you.
Now, I've just noticed, I'm just going to have a quick chat to Emily here. Emily, you've got a huge support crowd here tonight. It is great to see. How are you faring tonight? Because we've talked before about this being a very unique experience in terms of, you know, you guys all actually being here on the set, racing together, because you usually are racing all online.
Yeah, it's like nice to get out of my room for like the first time in a couple of weeks. No, it's good. And like we race together, like Matt and I are in a team together normally. So yeah, it's lovely to be here.
You're pulling some strong moves in that race. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm like honestly ecstatic. I didn't think I would have that kind of pace. And there was like a point halfway through where I like, yeah, Jared centered on me and I was like, I held him up and it was pretty cool.
Jared's upstairs, so we can't physically harm him right now, which is good. Hey, next up, Monza. Tell me about your experience at that circuit.
I really like Monza normally. I tend to go well there. I really like the chicanes and it's a circuit that I can lap for hours and I think that's good for practice for sim racing. It's a draft track, so I think it's going to be a battle and braking's important, so I think it's going to be a bit of biffer, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Thanks for impromptu chat there. Can't wait to see how you fare. Good luck for the next one. Thanks, Emily.
I love it. Emily's brought her own crowd along as well to cheer on the workplace law crew. So well done to Madison Down on picking up the very first race win of the year. Good chance to check out the highlights of the first of 16 races in season 2019. And pretty much led the whole way if you obviously work in the pit stop scenario. And there's no better way to do it, a lights to flag victory. But this was the big moment. So Myers maybe got into the side of Ford, which is what kicked all that off. The two of them dragged damage for what was, well, the remainder of the race. God, that's tough.
Some good starts for everyone there, which I was surprised. That first one, I didn't know how that would go, but plenty of action on the opening lap down in Honda.
These two are glued together for 12 laps. Madison Down holding his nerve through the pit stop window. Josh Muggleton was first to pit and did fall back a little bit later. What could have been for Richard Hampstead. He proved the theory, though. If you pit late, you do get the tyre life later.
You do. There was a big gap to close up there, though, but certainly, I mean, if it wasn't for that contact down into the hairpin, I think that it could have been a little bit different, but still, though, we saw how hard it was to overtake. So even if he got to Josh and Madison, it's going to be tough.
And we did see Ian Ford limping around the track, about a second off the pace, courtesy of that damage. And
front bar losing front downforce around here is not fun. So he would have had a hard time with that.
Yeah, so making the last of the pit stops as the field whizzed by. That left us with a few interesting battles to the end of the race, including that mid-pack scrap. There was about 4 cars in that one when Josh Muggleton started to fall back through the pack. And then this one, in the bump and run.
Lucky not to lose it right round there. Because we had to gather it up and get back in without losing another position. It was good.
So the Logitech gear saving the day there for Dane Warren. And this was what it looked like from on board.
Once you're committed, there's no getting out of it. You just can't. Once you're blocked,
you kind of have to see where it goes at that point. And Madison Down was first to the checkered flag, and second home today, Josh Rogers in the Mobil 1 entry, picking up a spot inside the top 3. So relatively clean racing. I mean, we saw what happened at turn 4 at the beginning there as well, and just that slight rub. But there's a reason why these guys and girls have made it to this standard, because they have such a high quality and a bit of respect for each other as well.
Exactly that. Yeah, they do have a respect for each other. They've been racing each other in various series and variations for a long time, and as we, just spoke to Emily about that. And so I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next race, because as we said, reverse grid. So we're going to see Brady Myers and I think Ian Ford.
Yes, off the front row.
The front row. And Madison is going to have to do it the hard way from position 12.
One of the cool things that we have running throughout the course of the season is our Shannons Classic Moments. It's a bit like the old classic catches back in the old Channel 9 cricket days, where the fans can vote for their favourite moment. So let's check out our first Shannons Classic Moment of the night. And we saw a really good battle between a couple of drivers fighting for every last spot on the podium. And it went right down between that guy there, Richard Hampstead, and the Red Bull Holden Racing team. This is how it played out. Dane Warren on the defensive and Richard Hampstead on the attack. And it was building for a few laps, this one, Scott.
It was. I mean, he was lucky to have that buffer, but that allowed them to race hard. I think, it's obviously not clean, but, they're in a position where they could go aggressive, redress it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Dane was probably settled in the third there pretty well. Still finished third with the redress, so I think, hard racing. They were able to redress it and play on.
Yeah, just the smallest of touches, but this game is so realistic, it was enough to send the Red Bull car out of bounds. And that has given us our very first Shannons Classic Moment for season 2019. Just on that, if you go to the E-Series website at the end of the night, you'll be able to vote for that. The online winner wins $500, and the drivers get to, I guess, in this case, split the $500 between the two of them. All right, we need a quick break here from the Gfinity Esports Arena. On the other side, it's the reverse grid race. We're off to Italy. Monza coming up next.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip to London and the 2020 Goodwood Revival, one of the biggest historic motorsport events in the world. Plus, tour through the English countryside in a Jaguar F-Pace for 15 days, visiting historic locations and unique motoring museums, with up to $5,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win a new Indian FTR 1200S motorcycle. To enter, get a quote on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive, your bike or home. Take out a new policy for even more chances of winning. Call Shannons on 13 46 46 or go online today.
Our friends at Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip to London for the 2020 Goodwood Revival, a fantastic celebration of motorsport covering the 40s, 50s and 60s. But there's also the chance to win this beast, the Indian FTR 1200S. To enter, just go to shannons.com.au and request a quote.
What I love most about racing is just getting the most out of the car. It's not the adrenaline, it's not the fear, it's not in real world or sim, it's just the technical side of racing. You need to clear your head of everything and just focus on the job at hand. When you're in the zone, you almost think about nothing. That's the incredible thing about it. Again, that's no different with sim racing to real world. It's exactly the same, and that technical part of it and the mental part of it is really important. My old man, he loves racing. He was the guy who, back in the day, started the computer up for me to get me going on very old simulation games. And even to this day, I still get to drive his car on racetracks now. So it's always been a good family thing. Growing up, I was always a big Mark Skaife fan. Big Holden man, always had the Holden racing team stuff back in the day. He was a real idol to me, but I guess as I've grown up, probably Jamie Whincup. When a race isn't going his way, he always finds a way to end up there in the top 3, top 5, scoring those championship points. And that's the reason he's won 7 titles. So that's just the best illustration of consistency and speed that you can see. Anyone can drive a fast car, few can drive a car fast. That's probably my favourite racing motto. It really is the cream of the crop in this E-Series, and so to win it would be huge. And to win with Shannons on board as well, like those guys' first foray into E-Series, being involved with such a professional company and representing them, I just hope I can do a good job for them. So yeah, I think I'll learn a lot this season.
Great start for the 25-year-old tonight from Sydney, racing in his home city and winner of the opening race, and perfectly timed because we've got the Shannons guys here today to cheer him on. A great chance as we queue him up for Monza and race 2, the reverse grid race. Thanks for joining us, by the way, for the Gfinity Supercars E-Series, brought to you by Shannons, to talk about what a great season it's been so far in Supercars and what's to come and what we've just seen. So first up, we'll talk about what we just saw, Auckland.
Yes, exactly. Team Auckland Super Sprint. Goodness
Threw you
me.
around there a bit, didn't I?
Let's hear some highlights.
Yeah.
Race 23.
It was a really good weekend. The Kiwi crowd every year seriously get into it. It was Nick Percat's birthday. Jamie Whincup had a special birthday message for him off the back of the Turn 8 head.
I had a good view of this one.
Yep, we saw something very similar. There you were on the left there, Scotty. You got away with that one.
I couldn't believe that took to the end of the race for that one to be. I was amazed.
It was
at that.
controversial.
I got the radio straight away because I thought a penalty was going to be handed straight away.
Yeah.
So I needed to voice that I wasn't the one involved. But yeah, when I saw Whincup going to the podium at the end of the race, I was pretty surprised.
Tim Edwards, none too impressed about what he saw happen down there at Turn 5 between the two teammates. Hopefully we don't see that in the teammates tonight. SVG, just like he did last year at Pukekohe, picking up the Saturday race win, just had to hold off his teammate for a bit. And again, if the penalty had been served earlier, it wouldn't be under that scenario, I guess.
Yeah, well, he had the luxury then of being in clean air and kind of negated that 15-second penalty because you're running up the front.
Yeah.
You pull 15 seconds on the guys pretty easily, so I was surprised for sure.
So SVG with the Shuckers getting the win on the Saturday. He looked really, really strong and the hometown support was huge.
Oh, exactly. That's what I love about the Auckland race is just the hometown support for the Kiwis. It was a pretty solid start in race 24. Bit of feeling here between SVG and I think that was Scotty McLaughlin. Oh, take that, bro.
Yeah.
And then this is where it all...
This was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
what was that with the word
This became a good spectator sport at this point.
Yeah, we'll call it Mustang Gate, I think. So poor old Jamie Whincup pulling up behind the safety car and then blazing past it.
I was a good winner out of this, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, right.
I come out 6th of this, and I think I was 16th, so...
Yeah, you, Simona, Tom Hazelwood, a bunch of drivers outside the top 10, and this guy as well, Scott McLaughlin, taking a free ride to the podium. Scotty said it in the press conference. You know, some days you're on the right end of these decisions, some days you're on the wrong end of these decisions. That was his right day, And he picked up a win. How about the celebration, though? I want to see you, next time you win a race, Scott, I want to see you do this.
I won the worst race to win. Grand Prix, we're not allowed to do burnouts or anything. So, yeah, I just trundled around and stopped at the flag. But, yeah, when I win next time, I'd like to. I'll probably suck at burnouts, though, but I'll have a go. I'll have a crack.
Champ score, McLaughlin in another stratosphere at the moment, heading into Bathurst. 300 points. He could actually not show up to Bathurst and the Gold Coast, which is about to still be...
All right, Chad.
It's a big lead. Where are you on this page, Scott?
Sorry, did you say something?
right underneath
you're on that page.
Yeah, we're not in there this one, but it is a massive lead. I mean, I'm surprised to see that, but going into the season, we didn't realise what the Mustangs were going to come out with, so it has thrown...
I mean, you were 7th last year in the title fight. You had an amazing year last year with that win. But what you have got is 2 Bathurst podiums in the last few years. So heading into the next stop on the tour, you must be pretty pumped about going to Bathurst.
Yeah, Enduros have been good for us, and I think having Warren Luff in my car as well was a really good opportunity for us with an experienced co-driver to go to Bathurst as the first event this year, which is unique. It hasn't happened before. So normally Sandowns where we, nut everything out and make it all work properly before we get to Bathurst. But yeah, I think it's going to be a real challenge, especially for the younger guys. But yeah, I'm excited. The Enduros, like I said, have been good to me in the past.
And Walkinshaw Andretti United adding a wild card, which is going to be super exciting. Alexander Rossi and James Hinchcliffe.
It is, and there's a really good atmosphere in the workshop. Sorry, car 27 you say, but yeah, I'm really excited. And for the guys as well, it's been a really big lift in the team. So to have Alexander and James come over, it's going to be cool. They've both done so much in the sport and not so much in supercars. So everyone's excited to see how they go. But they're pros. I'm sure they'll get to Bathurst. Be shocked. It will surprise them unless you've been there.
It's a tough initiation.
You can't underestimate the challenge of that place. But yeah, I'll be well and truly preoccupied with our own program and trying to go one better this year. And if we come second or worse again, I'm going to be pretty bummed. Last year was bittersweet. So we'll have a good crack and be focused on that.
Well, I'm sure that Alexander and James are probably getting some laps on the iRacing sim at Mount
Panorama.
Panorama.
Chance to do it. They can hop into car 2 or 22 and tackle that one. I hope Alexander Rossi sends it like he sends it at Indy because he is so exciting. So cannot wait for that. So it is the next stop on the calendar, Bathurst. The mountain, it's calling. You'll be able to check out all the action on Fox Sports 506. We cannot wait to go back to Bathurst.
Okay, Dad. Decorations.
Check.
Fluids.
Oh, yeah.
Pole position.
Checkity check. Psst. Hurry.
Mountain Panorama, Muzz. 1,000 Ks.
No ad breaks. Have you done enough?
The question is, Murray, can you go the distance?
Dad! We can do this. We have it all.
1,000 Ks, no ad breaks. Can you go the distance?
I like that. Something a bit different. Can we go the distance with 1,000 Ks? I'm not too sure. We're not too far away from going racing at Monza. That is the reverse grid race. We just saw Phillip Island. We were at Phillip Island early in the year. It's always a track of high drama, high speeds. And while we're queuing up Monza, this is a great chance to relive what was Phillip Island through the radio days.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop.
The WD-40 Phillip Island Super Sprint is go.
Nice work, mate. Tyres are still low. Even after you two are gapping the field.
The CPS is the compulsory pit stop, so at the completion of this lap, you can actually do it.
Hit this lap. Engine stalled again. Copy, mate. Copy. All good. Head down. Nice and smooth. Everyone's going to be pitting now. Yeah, a bit of front tyres gone, mate. Front tyre exploded on the straight. Tyre gone. Copy, mate. Copy. In this one. How fast you want me to come back in? Slowly, mate. Slowly ring back. Try not to cause any damage. Man, that's such a shame. It was going so well. So well. Sorry, boys. Just on the straight it exploded, mate, before I got to the corner. Yeah, there must have been something on the track, mate, because Slady did his exactly the same time behind you. Hit this lap, J-Dub, no option. Hit this lap. Clear to go, clear to go. Oh, hey, the right front's not tight. Right front's not tight, right front's not tight. Come back in, be careful, be careful. Right front's not tight. Stop the car, mate, stop the car. You know you lost the opportunity to pull off the Honda and get out of the way. Mate, park the car as far off the track as you can, please. I think I'm going to lose left front width. I'm pretty sure the left front's loose, mate. Safety car, mate, safety car. There's lots of debris at turn 3 that they should probably clean up. Is that left front loose, mate? Okay, something went funny there. It just went massively left hand down for some reason. Anyway, all good. Thank you. There's G at Lucky. Yeah, copy, mate. Heard you. We'll let them know.
We're about to go. And a nice getaway.
I'll come loose again. Something failed. Yeah, copy that. In this one, please. In this one.
You got Van Gisbergen, look, he lurking in here like a shark, about to pounce on the outside, and it's on. There's damage on the right rear of Waters' car, and he's in a pile of trouble.
Hey, it's not broken. Copy that, mate. Pitting this lap, obviously, mate. Obviously pitting this lap. Hey, seriously. Obviously, mate, we're straight in the garage here, mate. We're straight in the garage. When can we have some luck? My left rear talking in contact. I think it's okay. Yeah, copy that, mate. Watching that. Pressures are still good. Great work, mate. 3 to go. How many? You're very funny.
Last corner for Scott McLaughlin, who continues to own Phillip Island. It was back-to-back for him last year, and he started perfectly again this year.
Great work, mate. 1-2. Come on, 1-2. Alright, that's enough. Got it, boys. Bang. Your singing hasn't got any better, mate.
Scott McLaughlin winning Game of Thrones round. The true story behind that was I actually dared him to hum the Game of Thrones tune across the finish line.
Blame for that.
Yeah, that's actually my fault for that one. I still owe him a Cooper's beer for that one, by the way, actually. So well done to Scotty winning Game of Thrones round, which was already back in April. When you talk about those Radio Days packages, and do you have to watch what you're saying when you're in the race car in that scenario?
We always have to watch what we're saying, but I think sometimes the radio days you get so heated in the moment, and we dread them coming out. We think, what have I said? Because sometimes you're not really you're chatting to the guys and you're trying to describe what happened, and Cam was obviously pretty under control there. But when you're emotionally driven, and especially if you've had a bad run for a little while, you have a few things happen, and it can happen. But it's the swearing you got to keep under control, obviously, and that's sometimes hard in the heat of the moment not to just say the wrong thing. But it's part of it. You get used to it.
Has any time any of them aired and you've said something about someone or they've said something about you, and then do you have that sort of awkward, like, oh, do I have to sort of acknowledge it at the next race? I remember we watched one at a presentation dinner once, and someone, I think, said something about Simona, and she was like, I had no idea that they said that about me.
Oh, really?
Is it a bit of a surprise
we probably
sometimes
say
when
a
you
lot
hear those
about
things?
each other, I'd imagine. I mean, we're racing against each other pretty hard. There was one once where they had to redo it because they had said something that they worded the caption wrong, and I had said something about Nick, but then they put it that I had sworn about Nick, but I hadn't, and so they had to address that. I think even Nick messaged me and was like,
really?
What the hell, dude? This was years ago. So it was early days of the radio days. Normally it's the inter-team battles that when drivers get heated and talk about each other, there's often that. But really, I mean, we're professional enough to keep it smart. It's nothing that really we wouldn't say to each other in the heat of the moment anyway.
All right, we're not too far away from switching our attention now to Monza. Like we mentioned, they grid up in the order of which they just finished race one. And reverse grid racing, something that we don't see in supercars anymore, but certainly would be quite interesting to see it make a return. We're going to check out exactly what the Monza Circuit looks like. It is such an amazing, historic place. First opened in the 20s. It was the third ever racetrack, permanent circuit to get open anywhere in the world behind the Brooklyns and Indianapolis in America. So very, very cool. But one thing we're going to see a lot of is jumping the curbs.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I raced here in 2011, I think it is, and I'd gone from racing at a circuit in England, Alton Park, high downforce, then came to this place as my first race meeting. So it's typically a low downforce setup is what you would go for at a place like this. Massive straights, big braking zones. But what can happen here is you take a heap of wing off and then the stability under braking becomes an issue. So I think we'll see lots of action under brakes. They're
like that?
You can see there. The rear of the car here is just good save, though.
Nice.
Managed to get both apexes with four wheels.
The problem is, though, if you do, and this is a great example of it there, you get a slow down. So with iRacing, if you do have a corner cut like we saw there, they will make you slow down almost to redress the time clock, if not your position.
Hard part, probably no time gain there, though. So you've got to give it away, but no time gain. But this is a really critical corner as well. massive straight up to the chicane here. So important to get out of that corner really well. And I don't think there'll be much overtaking here, but it's still an easy place to lose a lot of lap time, especially if you're trying to close the gap to someone.
Yeah, the big issue is going to be exactly what we saw at the second chicane, locking the rears up to the Ascari chicane.
All four wheels across the apex there. Low curbs here, so you can take plenty of track as long as you don't get a penalty. But again, you want a good run out of here. When I raced here, the place to not overtake was the last corner. You wanted to be behind someone as you entered the front straight because of the slipstream being so important around here. You've got to be strategical. You wouldn't want to make the move here because you want to try and set them up on the front straight and get them into turn one. So key here is to get out underneath someone. You want to turn in late, get the rotation in the middle of the corner, and then have a run onto the front straight and try and get it done.
Through the parabolic up, if you were living under a rock and didn't see the massive Peroni crash in F3, that's where that happened, going through that very, very fast final turn and onto the front straight. So really looking forward to this one. Monza, like we mentioned, first open back in the 20s. It's a regular scene for Formula One. Well, tonight we get to find out what would a supercars race look like around Monza. It's one of the what-if moments. We go to Suzuka after this one. Some of the best tracks anywhere around the world are going to feature on this series. Where's one track outside of Australia, maybe that you've driven open wheelers on, that you think a supercars race would work really well here?
I think Monza, actually. Lots of big braking zones. I've always liked Spa, a race there as well, but I think for our cars, you want the big stops, big braking zones, and where there's brake fade and things like that. Like turn one would offer up a good opportunity. It's still hard to go past Nürburgring, though.
Yeah, true.
At Nordschleife, I'd like to just do a lap in a supercar around there, because not for overtaking, but to actually drive the car around there and have all four wheels just lifting off the track and you're on the limit. We get some feelings like that where it's that weightlessness at Bathurst, especially across McPhillamy into the great corners like that. So I think to drive a lap, the Nordschleife is hard to go past.
All right, not too far away from lighting up the racing at Monza. We've got our drivers here in the studio tonight, which is really, really cool. Bryony, third place for that opening race. Dane Warren, he's got the big responsibility of driving for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team.
Yeah, absolutely, Dane. No pressure. Driving for Red Bull Holden Racing Team. You had a day at Sydney Motorsport Park, I believe, and got to go do a hot lap with Shane van Gisbergen, and then vice versa. He jumped on the sim. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, it was very interesting to get the chance to hop into a real-life supercar. It just opens your eyes to the differences that, they have and we have. So it was a really cool experience. The team welcomed me, with open arms and all that. It was really good to experience.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, everyone in the arena tonight, all 12 drivers are using these rigs with the Logitech G29 steering wheel. Now, you use this one at home?
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the gaming controls on it.
Yeah, so obviously it's what you'd see in a real life race car. You got paddles for gear selection, heaps of buttons. These wheels are, in my opinion, excellent to start off with. Can't really fault them, and you get what you pay for your money. It's really good.
Now, one of the features of this wheel is the realistic force feedback, and we see it on screen. If you get off onto the curbs and that sort of thing. But what are you feeling through the steering wheel at those times?
Yeah,
it is realistic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It does a good job of capturing the bumps, curbs. If you hit one too wide, you'll get the jolt. Oversteer, you'll feel the rear start to step out, and you can correct it. So it's very good.
Okay, so as mentioned, we're heading to Monza next. What's your experience at Monza? Is it a track that you rate or you hate?
It's one of those tracks that you either really like or really dislike. In my circumstance, I'm not a fan, honestly. But I'm pretty confident going in. The setup's good. We use it from a previous race we've done there. So go in and see what we can do. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, fun fact. At the Monza Circuit in Formula One, an Italian driver hasn't won at Monza in over 50 years. But in supercars, an Australian is going to win tonight.
How interesting.
So put some money on them. How interesting. Taking that off you, Dane. Goodbye. And good luck for Monza. Just joking, Chad.
All right, so we're going to see at least one of the Aussies taking the win tonight on the famous cathedral of speed that is Monza, based about 20 k's north of Milan in the north of Italy. Not far away from that reverse grid race. Won't be long, and a good chance to meet one of our other drivers on the grid. She's got her own fans and support crew here from Workplace Law. They love Emily Jones. She's our only lady racer in the field. Let's get to know her.
My first word was car, so I think like my whole family were like, oh God, she's into cars. My uncle raced a Porsche. I was always so excited to hang out with him in the garage and things like that. I was just obsessed with racing, so eventually my parents caved and they were like, okay, we'll let her go kart for a bit.
Career victory 106 for Craig Lowndes. He's back in the game.
I was a huge Craig Lowndes fan as a kid. I had Craig Lowndes like posters all over my walls and things like that. He was just so nice and such a smiley character. I remember the night that he defected to Ford and I cried because I was like a Holden fan and a Lounsey fan. And it was like, no, he's going to Ford. This is the worst thing that can ever happen. Being like one of the only girls in sim racing, I guess people get to know you rather quickly, but I don't know, it's not as lonely as I thought it was going to be. There's so many amazing female race drivers out there that are just kicking butt all over the world, and I'm inspired by other female racers. I mean, Simona's doing amazing in Australia, and like all of the W Series races overseas are doing really well. I think it's like we're on the verge of a female driver breaking into one of the really top series and kind of winning it, I guess. For our sim racing community to be on television is massive. I'm still learning and I think I'm still improving. I've got a long way to go and I don't think I've shown my full potential yet. So I'm excited to, show what I can do.
Great to have her here, and she's definitely got the biggest support in the house tonight. 26-year-old from Melbourne, spent a little bit of time over in Japan and has made it back. So maybe that'll give her an advantage for Suzuka later on when we go racing for the final race later. So like we mentioned, Monza, and this is how they'll line up, and it's reversed from qualifying results, which is how we get the grid for this one. So it still leads to a similar result to what we saw if it was reversed from race one. Brady Myers will be up pole in Ford, so check. And we have Warren Rogers and Down off the back. Scott, when's the last time you did a reverse grid race? Super 2, maybe? Did they have any reverse grid back then when you were
I don't think so. I don't think we did. In Formula 3, I had a reverse top 8.
Okay.
So they would do that.
How do you approach it?
In karting, you had... well, it depends where you are.
True. So if you're up the back.
You're up the front. Actually, I won in Rockingham in F3, and that was a reverse top 8. We got an unlucky draw. We had the top 3 in the championship who had bad first races and started beside me, so that was tough. But it's a different mentality. It depends if you're in the championship or not, how smart you have to play it if it's later in the year. But generally, it's a good opportunity for some good racing.
It all depends what the scenario is. I mean, it is the same points as well. So that is the other thing to think about. It's going to pay the same amount of points.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think in Supercars and perhaps in the development series, it was always about half points for a reverse grid race.
Yeah.
But this one, as you mentioned, is as many points as the original one. Josh Rogers just making some last-minute
they're
adjustments
popping up on the grid and not too far away. We've got a big crowd here at the Gfinity Studios in Sydney, and they're all pumped up to see some racing, so let's do it. The Cathedral of Speed, it's Monza, it's race 2 of 16 in the 2019 championship, just waiting on the last couple of cars to pop up onto our grid. It's the Fox Sports entry on the pole. And remember,
wouldn't that be good if you
draft.
could get to the grid like that?
Save you a bit of fanfare. Watch out for the slipstreaming, watch out for the big braking manoeuvres at the chicanes, watch out for drivers getting pinned for jumping the chicanes as we go racing at Monza.
Fairly even start. It's a long run to turn 1 here, so a bad start really pays. That would kill you.
Gee, the Red Bull car.
Using all the track.
All the way to the inside. So Burton, the only driver to really noticeably have a slow start. They pile into the first chicane. Up on the curbs.
Pretty tidy there. You tend to get a bit of a bottleneck at turn 2. People can flow through turn 1 quick, but then 2 usually backs everyone up a bit.
Brady Myers is out of there. Checking out with the race lead. Great start for the Fox Sports entry. The Raw team a second, and that is Emily Jones flicking up the dirt. Can she get that stop for the second chicane? We're about to find out.
This is tricky. It puts you on the outside for the next 2 corners.
Someone's got to go slow, and that was
Josh Muggleton.
Yep. 4 picks through Lesmo 1. Need to be careful not to run the car too wide there. Need to watch the track limits. Gee, they're queuing up behind Muggleton now. Muggleton and Jones. Oh, and one around.
Oh,
how did they save that? I think that was Jones.
Lent on another car, I think there. Seems to have lent on Dane.
Got saved by Dane Warren. On the inside, has that hurt the steering though?
Dane politely straightened her up.
Lucky, very lucky, because that was headed for the fence. Lewis Hamilton's found that fence before, so she'd be in good company. So a bit of a breakaway for the leader, and then a 3-car fight for second. We take you on board that fight right now. Jared Filsell. He's got Ian Ford in his sights.
Side draft is something we may see here. It's big for us. If we can get an overlap on a car in front, you want to keep nice and tight till you reach the B pillar, then pull hard right, break that side draft. But it'll be interesting here. Typically behind a car, we don't get a massive slipstream, but it's once you get that draft on the side, it's big.
Anyone brave enough to have a crack under brakes? It's hard to tell if that's attacking or defensive. We'll call it attacking from Ian Ford.
12 laps around here, still a fairly... Oh, 7 laps, sorry.
Yeah.
Still a fairly long way around here, actually, but I think now is when you'd want to have a crack at those turn 1, 2 moves before there's any field spread or tyre deg.
And Emily Jones into the pits early, so we did see her take a knock on the opening lap of the race. So trying to roll the dice here with a lap 1 pit stop. She looks disappointed too. Great start, Brady Myers.
Not part of your race plan. First lap to be in the pits getting repairs there.
It's going to be a long way home from there. She'll have some time to make up later. I wonder the state of the Dane Warren car as well, if that's got bent steering. We saw what happened earlier at Phillip Island. 2 boost cars look to be running pretty close together. Brenton Hobson cracked sideways off Lesmo 2 then and got away with it. They're side by side here, running for second.
It's a fairly quick chicane. I think they have to sort themselves out before they get there. It'd be hard to run too wide through there.
Might be able to sort that out.
I'm surprised how much track they're using here.
Yeah, so
everyone's trying to flow the car as much as possible.
You don't pick up penalty points like you normally would in an iRacing event with the Supercars E-Series. Jake Burton on the inside. And Ford just running it wide, losing a spot to Hampstead. And here comes Josh Rogers. So the guys who started at the back now starting to reach the traffic. Look at the pit stops. Burton, Hampstead, Ford, and Down all into the pits.
Be interesting to see how Down goes here because he was tucked right up the back of Josh there, so they've split them there.
So they'll all get onto a new set of tyres. Will they come out in this order? Burton in the Dunlop car, first in the queue, driving for Brad Jones Racing.
And obviously, unlike the real Supercars series, teammates, if they do pit at the same time, they don't have to double stack here.
Nice.
You get your own pit bay, so there's no disadvantage.
So change for position there. That's a slow stop for Burton. So Hampstead first out. So he dealt himself in here. Burton might have dropped to the back of that pack. Why was it such a slow stop? Maybe he knows there he's just got out ahead of Ford and Down. So Down's going to put the pressure on, and here comes Emily Jones.
Pitting in the train there might be an advantage now for Josh and a few others that have stayed out at the front, just because the train on the way into pit entry looks like they probably cost each other a little bit of time.
Down got sideways. I think Down might have dropped the lefts on the dirt. Or maybe it was just cold tyres down there. So it hasn't worked out too badly for Emily Jones. She's managed to catch this pack, courtesy of the early pit stop, but has she got steering damage? That'll be the question. We have no real lap times for her yet since she pitted on lap 1. That might be too aggressive on the curbs for Ian Ford. Need to watch out for that. Yep, pinged. Yep. So slow down and dropping to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, Brady Myers still leading the way.
For our new viewers, Chad, sorry, it just explained the concept of the slow down.
Yeah,
for those who are new to iRacing.
It's essentially if you take a shortcut, you need to redress that situation instantly. And the longer you go on, the bigger that time penalty becomes. So you need to try and kill it as soon as you can. That's why we saw the 34 pull over. So Myers going long into this stint. It's a 7-lap race.
It's only 3/10 between the front two, so it's a close battle.
150.6 for Brady Myers. Ethan Greig-Gould, similar lap time that last time by, but a 3-second gap. They're easily the quickest in the front pack.
Selling.
And these guys all in now as well, including the Red Bull car, which had that damage. Oh, how's the damage to your car there, Scott? Not looking too fresh on the left front. It's looking very
it's a little
much
bit like Garth Tander
Sandown
a few years ago. I think he got the win that day, though, so maybe there's something in it. Maybe he's trying to strip the aero back for straight line.
I'm sure your manager will have some smart comment to say about that.
Well, as a driver, our excuse book's pretty big, so I'd be getting out saying that was intentional. It's all about streamlining around a place like Monza.
Oh man, look at this.
I'd find an excuse for that.
Of course.
So Hampstead has jumped a bunch of cars here. And Josh Rogers, unsure. So Josh
Down
Rogers
as well.
must have been involved with that opening lap incident.
Down as well as switch positions there with Josh, so he's lost some time there at some point.
150.4. Don't look now, but Emily Jones is the fastest on the track. So Emily Jones, 150.4, and Fan Club's happy with that. 150.6 for the leader, so there's the advantage on a fresh tyre.
She'll be motivated here as well to bounce back, I think, after that early trouble. She'll looks pretty determined there.
So maybe a chance to fix that damage in the pit stop because the car is quick. Through the pair of Lesmo corners. Both right-handers. The second one is a touch tighter than the first. And on to this long straight before the Ascari chicane.
So Phil Sell looks like I think Jared's the leader at the moment. Is he the leader of the guys who have stopped?
Yes.
But Brady, they were fairly close when they made the stop, so it'll be interesting to see how close Jared and Brady come out after this one.
I think the leader's just popped into the pits as well because he's disappeared off our timing monitors in front of us. So this could be the fight for the lead right now. Dave Warren looking to the inside, and there is our race leader in the pits. A few more drivers in the lane as well. So there goes the leader. Down comes Muggleton, and here's a side-by-side battle. It's Hobson over driver's left, and how about the run for Madison Down? We'll go 3 wide down the front straight at Monza. And there could be some rejoins here as well. They fall out back behind this pack. This is awesome stuff. And the Shannons entry's picked up 2 for the price of 1. Great move. Move of the night so far, no doubt about it. Madison Down.
Yeah, that was good there. It's hard being Brenton on the outside. There's not much you can do about it. You kind of just got to concede and let that go. And that's part of the strategy around this circuit. It's just that front straight, the draft is so big. One gets the side draft, and then the guy who's got double the draft on the front straight ends up being able to come through and take them both.
What is it about tracks that have real stop-go nature, curbs, and big stopping braking distances that always provide good supercars races? We're seeing it right now.
This sort of circuit and street circuits for our cars particularly suited. You know, I think I said earlier about which circuit we go to, and for racing, I mean, like you say, Spa or those places are great for all that, but to race around here, overtaking is always an option.
Now Warren tucked in.
Just a bit of change front as well with Jared now.
Yep, Phil Burton. I think Phil Sill might be the last to pit here.
I thought he
22, or he
did. I believe he's pitted already.
So Brady Myers lost quite a bit of time then through the pit stop window. Has actually dropped down the timing screen.
Oh, big dive.
Oh, that is late down at the Parabolica.
There might have been a drama there for Dane. He was really early on the break, but maybe just setting the switch up.
This is on here.
So he's going to be in the box seat, I think, here. Dane will be. Down into one. Oh, Josh, he's just going to have to park it on that white line, I think. There we go.
This is an awesome battle, and Rogers just gets that car pulled up. So Rogers, Hobson, and then back to the Red Bull car of Dane Warren. Swapping positions at Monza. 2 to go. So the pit stop window was very early in this race, and our pit reporter down in Melbourne is Jonathan Simon. That played out very exciting. How good is the slipstream racing around Monza? Cut back down to Jonathan in Melbourne soon. This battle's still going on.
Yeah, Dane set that one up well there. Nice switchback on Brent.
Overtaking. Stark contrast to what we saw at Phillip Island. Plenty of slipstreaming. So Muggleton, last car up in this battle pack. So back to Madison Down, closing now. On the back of a few cars, including Gritgalt, Burton, Hampstead. This is the fight for second, 4-car fight for second.
Madison's got lots of speed here, so this will be close, I think, right to the flag.
Would have started off the back of the grid too, and won the opening race of the night. So looking very good for a front row start for race 3, which is combined points.
We saw the switch in the pits there, but Madison's backed it up with pace as well in the race, and managed to get a bit of a gap on Josh. I don't know if he's got steering damage or that front guard is hurting, but Madison's certainly got some pace.
Only driver have dipped down into the 149, Scott, so there's the proof on the time card. Starting the last lap. Burton on the defensive, Gritgalt in the mirrors. They all fall back into line.
Out of here, Madison's going to set up a good exit out of turn 2 there. And he's going to try and overtake, I think, in this first chicane. It's a great opportunity with a big stop. I think he probably took a little bit too much curve at the second apex, at the turn 2, and it probably just unsettled the drive, but I think he's in there.
Gritgalt might go defensive in that boost entry, does. Parks it over the left-hand side, but didn't have to go too defensive on the
He can do the same strategy here, keep it tight on the exit here and try and get him up into this right-hander. Too much curve again. You can see what it does there, just delays him getting on the throttle.
Lesmo 1, last time. There's your leader. And the Mobil 1 Racing team about to check in for a race win here today. Ryan Walkinshaw in particular will be very happy about that. He loves his esports.
Very good. I'm not too unhappy about that myself. Yep. Car looks nice out there.
He's picked the night to win.
Yeah, he's done a great job there. Obviously, in the stop there, we saw the change for the lead. But again, like Madison, he's backed it up with pace and gapped the field. Looks tidy.
And the irony that it should be in car 22. This track has a very special place in James Courtney's heart as well. For his venture into open wheelers back in the day.
I think this was where the Jaguar in Formula 1 had the big crash with him as well, with a failure in that car. So
right through that last chicane. Hampstead on the defensive. Have a look at the lead for Jared Filsell. He checked up at the bend to celebrate his new announcement with his team, and here he is racing and winning for Walkinshaw and Group United.
Nice work.
Scott Pye's got his hands together. The crowd here at Gfinity has their hands together, and he has a smile on his face.
Very modest looking as well.
He's a serious cat, isn't he? He's
Crack
a very
smile.
serious dude.
Early in the championship, so it's I'm sure he's extremely focused to just keep backing that up.
Maybe smiling on the inside, but he has got the job done. 50 points for Jared Filsell. Hampstead, a great drive through the pack. He and Madison Down, probably the 2 drivers of the race. They passed a lot of cars.
Yeah, Madison's pace was really good at the end, but the good thing is, I mean, Jared's still doing 49.8, albeit out in front, but the pace there for him, for his best lap of the race is I think he might have even ended up with the fastest lap of the race. So clean air will help that, but certainly car speed, and yeah, I mean, Jared's done a great job there, deserved the win.
So well done, and Bryony, we have our second race winner of the season.
Yes, and he's all very professional as well. Chuck the sponsor's cap on. Good job, Jared, taking 50 points, race 2, well done.
Yeah, I had to capitalise on that one. Phillip Island didn't go to plan for me, so I'll take them when they come. I definitely had a good setup for that one. Phillip Island struggled a little bit, as well as Josh. He made the most of that setup. I didn't, so we'll see how we end up in Suzuka.
Tell me about the pit stop strategy, because that obviously worked wonders for you there.
Yeah, definitely. I think the undercut's massive here. I saw Brady go in. I had a sneak peek and I saw he had a pit lane penalty, so as long as I kept it clean, that was just going to sew it up. So pretty easy race for me.
Well, now that you're a race winner, have you got any words of advice for Scott Pye, your fellow Walkinshaw Andretti United driver down on the desk?
I believe he's won a race.
Not tonight, he hasn't.
Hopefully he wins in a few weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jared. Good luck for Suzuka.
Thank you.
Nice try, Bryony.
Well done to Jared and the entire Mobil 1 Racing team. And like we mentioned, Walkinshaw and all the team will be very, very happy about that. As are you, Scott. Great to see it. It's iRacing, but it's for points, it's for money, and it's exactly what these boys are here to do. They're here to win.
Yeah, certainly. And to get that race win on the first night is great for your confidence and sets his championship up really well.
All right, so that has set up our third and final race of the night, which will be Suzuka. But quickly, let's check out the highlights of what was a really exciting race. This was building, wasn't it? We had a feeling Monza might be good because it's just natural layout is so set for a supercar. Looked like Jake Burton struggled a little bit off the grid in the Dunlop entry. Dane Warren was so aggressive. Gee, we saw some moves over that white line in the race. Now, what happened on the opening lap here, Scott?
It's hard to see what happened initially, whether there was a touch from behind, but certainly getting straightened up there by Dane was really lucky, but obviously bent the steering wrench. She had to get that fixed. But you could just watch this place all day. The racing around here was really good, and we see that even in Formula 1 with the drafting. This year's race for them was crazy good to watch. But I was surprised, actually, that Madison got such an advantage in that pit stop with... I thought they lost some time coming in altogether, but Josh had lost out there as well, but I'm not sure, again, if he had to have some repairs done.
Yeah, true. And we also had a drive-through penalty for Brady Myers, which explains why the Fox Sports entry dropped to the rear of the field. How about this, though? Brenton Hobson on the outside, Dane Warren, who thought he was far enough over on the inside, but there was no stopping Madison Down. And that was, his eyes must have lit up when he saw that opportunity, because opportunities like that don't pop up too often. That was a cool move.
I think Dane would have been disappointed with that one too. We see Josh really defending here well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not something you would expect to have to do, to cross off the race circuit to defend down pit wall. I think that's probably what caught Dane out there, just left the door open, not on the racetrack, but off it.
And then first to the checkered flag today, Jared Filsell getting the win. So like Bronny alluded to, first Australian to win at Monza.
And I'm so sorry, Scott. I didn't mean to make fun of you.
It's okay. No. You tried. Jared had my back, though, so he was up.
You did win. You did win the race to the popcorn machine earlier at the Gfinity Supercars Eseries.
I won a race last year, Brian.
But you didn't win.
Give me some credit. I have, but the popcorn's almost empty.
Yeah, tip it over my head later on.
The Gfinity team have everything.
Yeah, nice try, Bronny. Thanks, though, Jared.
Possibly need. So this is really cool. I guess you could probably pick what might be this moment, but let's check out our second Shannons classic moment of the night. Well, this guy is on fire tonight. Madison Down driving for the Shannons team, and how fitting that he should pick up what will be our next Shannons classic moment. It was an awesome move on the Red Bull guys, as well as the team from the Raw. They're the characters in question, and not often do we get to see 3-1 action. It started with that little bump there between the two of them mid-corner through the Parabolica, and here comes the green 77.
I think Dane's going to watch this back and see what Josh did, and I'm surprised. I mean, crossing it over the track there up to pit wall, wouldn't normally have to do it, but today we can see they're using all the track and he was able to get the move done. But yeah, really good move. Pulled it up. Tricky part is where he had a car exiting pit lane. It's pretty easy to misjudge the braking there and clean him up.
He is on fire. So go to E-Series website later today. After we go off air, we'll have our third and final one later, and you'll be able to vote for your favourite Shannons classic moment of the night. And a reminder, the prizes there are great. So $500 up for grabs just for going on and voting for your favourite. And maybe even Madison will win $500 himself for that moment as well. So he started off the rear of the grid and made up plenty of spots, but it was Jared Filsell who really held his nerve. And 3.7 seconds, that's a pretty handy race win, Bryony.
Yeah, exactly. Richard Hampstead there in second, closely followed by Ethan Grieger-Galt. Jake Burton, a good result in fourth, and Madison Down starting from the rear of the grid to finish fifth, alongside Josh Rogers in sixth. And Emily Jones suffered some contact on that opening lap. She salvaged ninth place in that race.
Yeah, I think salvaged is the word. She did a really good job to drive that off the rear where she was stuck at the beginning of the race. So that has wrapped up two of the three races. And remember, the final race of the weekend will be a combination of points. So let's get to a break, our final one of the night, as we get set to go into the final race. Going to Suzuka next. That's coming up after this.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip to London and the 2020 Goodwood Revival, one of the biggest historic motorsport events in the world. Plus, tour through the English countryside in a Jaguar F-Pace for 15 days, visiting historic locations and unique motoring museums, with up to $5,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win a new Indian FTR 1200S motorcycle. To enter, get a quote on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive, your bike or home. Take out a new policy for even more chances of winning. Call Shannons on 13 46 46 or go online today.
What a good night it's been so far. How are we feeling tonight at the Gfinity Arena, getting ready for our final race? There we go, of the night. A couple races so far. We've had Phillip Island and we've also had Monza. Suzuka is beckoning, not too far away from a race start there to be a combination of points for the grid. And Madison Down will be on the pole. So
You look Brady Myers there, as we mentioned before,
It's got
with
the
his
haircut, looking very sharp.
aerodynamic haircut.
So as we are sorting out the grid and getting ready for our quick trip to Suzuka, let's have another flashback moment and go back to Townsville and what was an incredibly dramatic moment that ended with rain and fire. This is the Radio Days from Townsville.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go wild in Townsville as they get down to the second turn. Reynolds has tripped over the top of McLaughlin. Is there damage? Can he get the thing to turn? No. He's broken the front left corner of it.
Had a crash with McLaughlin. Sound like me. Just drove into the wall. I've got something wrong. Copy, mate. It's on TV. Bring it in. Bring it in. I can't see what it is, mate. Do you think it's front right? I really don't know. I think it's the same as the bloody shunt at AGP. I really do. Nice work there, Water. Just try and stick it in there, mate. Nice work. Great stuff. Keep it up. Look at that.
Crash. Got damage, so wind cups come unglued here. There's big damage front and rear on car 88.
Sorry, mate. I've crashed. It's flat. Straight into the garage, please. Straight into the garage. Pull over. Oil pressure. No oil pressure. Wind cups in the wall. Wind cups in the wall. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Just got a little bit too much curve and around you went. My bad. We'll take the car that way. We're going to take the car. Stay out. Stay out. In this stuff, in this left, before wind 5, 12, the board, set your mark. Is everyone on wet? Maybe 99 might be on the maybe 99 is currently peak.
We're aiming up here for a green flag.
How? Mark up big damage, gotta come in. Didn't look that bad, on TV. I saw it with nose and tail, but if you need to come in, come in. Mate, are you serious? I just said I've got damage. I've got massive damage. I hit someone really hard. Frosty spun the car around and I had nowhere to go. Plowed straight into him. Left front. Hazelwood, mate. Hazelwood started that. Frosty finished it. Good drivers. Sorry about that, mate. It's just one. When I tried to pass, just grab. Let's pit. Copy, we're ready for you. Pit. Yeah, mate, we cancelled into the race, mate. Cancelled into the race. Just that contact before he just turned in. I'm out. He just turned in on me. I was on the inside. This will make your day even better, buddy. So we didn't get all the fuel in, so we're going to have to do an extra stop. Everybody else has. We're effectively 8. Fantastic news. Thank you. So good. Sure. Sorry, mate. Perfect. Just gather it up and keep pushing on here. All over now, mate. Box. Okay, press on. Seriously? I just got taken out by Iron Gardner on the straight, mate.
Oh, this could be safety car, maybe. Safety car if Jacobson's parked there.
Do you know about the engine issue? Mate, I'm going to have to stop. There's no brake pedal. Easy step, mate. Easy step. Push. We've got to set this up. Push. All right, mate. I heard. Safety car bought the flag. The car on the wall, left-hand side. Not sure which corner. Just after 8. Hit now. Yeah, hit now. Just a quick stop. Fuel only. Go.
Oh, my goodness, there's a fire there at Brad Jones Racing.
All right, mate. Yeah, okay then. What happened? There's been a fire in the pit lane to the car at the end of the pits. Perk got out of the car. The car was then put out and there was a fire back at the bay. Well, that is a good fire. Sorry, I've got to put in the car. I want to just finish this race, okay? Let's just finish this thing and get minimum points.
So Shane Van Gisbergen is going to sit in behind the safety car.
Okay, mate, confirming safety car is staying on circuit. Coming to the checkered flag, buddy.
He's going to greet the checkered flag. He's worked hard this afternoon, and the Red Bull Holden racing team have prevailed in a bizarre day in Townsville.
Yeah, and I've still got to follow a freaking Mustang across the line. Well done.
One of the more eventful days.
Wow.
Up at Townsville. That was a crazy, crazy race, wasn't it?
My favourite was Jacobson asking if anyone knows about the drama whilst he's on fire. I'm sure there's a delay there.
Engine feels wrong.
It
Yeah.
can't have been while he's on fire, surely.
You forget about how much happened in that race, and so eventful. But Scott, for you,
I don't forget. I remember. It was crazy.
what was that race like for you? We didn't see you feature in that one at all. So
No, that was good. Wasn't
Quiet
it? Yeah, it was quiet for me, actually, which I think we had a couple of dramas. I had a wheel nut jam, which I believe was in that race, put us at the back.
Right.
But and then we were kind of spectators. We went a lap down early in the race, so I kind of didn't get involved in too much of the action. Tried to keep the car clean and bring it home, but I had a box seat for a lot of it.
The fight between McLaughlin and Reynolds, it was all a bit sort of two dogs barking at each other from across the fence until we got to Townsville, and it was all pretty serious because they hit each other down there at turn 2, and that rivalry's been pretty heated since.
Yeah, I don't really have... I think only the second time I've ever seen that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a bit of both in that. I think McLaughlin probably tried to defend. Davey was committed, clipped, damage. But I have enjoyed watching the banter after it. They seem to love each other now, which is funny to watch. They seem to be...
So what, they've made up? They're mates, or, no,
being
it's the
sarcastic.
exact opposite again, right?
Yeah, they don't get on at all by the looks of it, so it's fun to
Are
watch.
they ever going to be friends again? It's
Are
strange
any of
because
us
they're two of the
friends?
most popular guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're racing hard, so there's not... We can't
I hope
afford
not.
to be...
No.
Rivalries are good.
I love a rivalry.
Rivalries are good.
Need a good rivalry.
Have you got a rival? Was there one guy that you know, like, I've got to beat him?
Oh,
apart from your teammate.
Obviously, everyone, but we're competing against all of us. But I I'm not really that good of mates with anyone. Shane's a good mate of mine, but we've had some big run-ins on the track. Sydney Motorsport Park, I remember very well a couple of years ago. He threw it down the inside, smashed my door, drove me off the track, and it was the year we were sharing a boom. And there was a safety car first lap and made me double stack. So I've always remembered that.
You paid him back yet?
Yeah, I have. He's paid me back as well. So it goes both ways, but there's certainly no friends on track. I mean, we're all racing for the same. There's only one prize at the end of the day.
I think what those packages demonstrate is just how hard you are racing for, P nowhere. You're racing as hard. No, not you
Everyone's
specifically.
battling. The thing is,
but I'm saying you're racing as hard
every
to win
spot
the race as you are
is
battling
hard
for
fought.
23rd and 24th. Like it is intense all the way down the field.
And
No,
often
was
that
not
mentality,
being
though,
ready
of no, I know. I just, after watching that one, I thought you were being specific about Townsville. But no, that mentality, unfortunately, it does happen. You get down the back of the field and everyone seems to think that because it's for less points, they, drive like mad. But at the front, once you're in the top 10 or especially top 5, everyone starts driving with their brains again because no one wants to lose a good result. But at the end of the day, you get to the end of the championship and it's those times when you're on the brink of the top 10 that you've got to collect those points and not make mistakes.
All right, let's turn our attention from Townsville and Supercars action and switch it back to the E-Series because the next
like
race...
Scott and I are developing a rivalry.
new rivalry. Scott versus
I'm not a
Ryan.
fan, I'll be honest. Just throw me under the bus a
You can
number of
shove the
times.
popcorn.
Yeah,
Where
we'll let you sort it out on iRacing after this, maybe. Suzuka is our next stop. Like I mentioned, combined points from races 1 and 2 set the grid. Madison Down before these two start punching on at the desk. We'll sort it out later on. Suzuka, this is a really, really cool track.
Done this on the sim a few times. This first corner is hard.
I don't even know
Really
what you call it.
tricky.
It's sort of a double apex.
It's like the longest double
Yeah.
apex, but you carry so much speed on the way in, and then it tightens up on the exit. But through these S's, I was speaking to a few of the guys earlier, and they're struggling. Because we were talking about in the first race, the track temperature, it's the same here. Clear skies, really high ambient. The tyres are struggling. They're half throttle up through that chicane, trying to keep it on the track. So it'll be interesting. I think degradation here is going to be a real issue.
Yeah, so just rolling it up through the S's and into the first of the big long loading left-handers. There's quite a few of them, so the right front tyre does get a big workout. That's pushing up through the first of the big long lefts, like we mentioned, the Dunlop, and then up towards the two Degner corners. You can get pinged maybe if you get too aggressive on the curbs down there, that second one in particular. And then the run up to the hairpin.
You're going to want to run the risk, though, that right-hander there and take as much track as possible. It's a 90 degree, it's pretty fast. But that's what's going to set you up down into the hairpin there to try and get a move done. Very tight exit there.
This would be a very difficult piece of road for a supercar without the aero of a Formula One car or even on a motorcycle, which is what this is built for. The Honda company built this track essentially as a test venue back in the day. And it has all the hallmarks of being an amazing open wheel circuit, very narrow, but for a supercar going through spoon curve up here and these long left-handers must be hard work.
There's a lot of undulation as well, so the car's going to get light. You touched on it, we don't have much downforce, so the cars are going to move around, and on a narrow track there's not much room for error. One of the coolest corners anywhere in the world, 130R. Also one of the strangest names for a corner anywhere in the world. Here it comes. What do we go, fourth gear here maybe? Can we do it in fifth? Oh, back to fourth. It's fast, isn't it? We've seen some moves there where cars have gone round the outside in Formula 1 now with lots of downforce. We're not going to see that, I don't think. Yeah. There could be some bump and runs there where you set yourself up into this last chicane, though. Yep, Casio, and then pit entrance over to the right-hand side. And that is a very cool lap. Supercars action around here will be closer to about 2 minutes, but Kimi Raikkonen's lap record of 1:31 back in 2005.
That's crazy. That is hauling the mail. Pit window should open up somewhere. Well, it's a bit earlier than what we've been thinking, so maybe as early as lap 3 or 4. And it's Madison Down off the pole. Richard Hampstead having a really, really good run on the front row. And Josh Rogers, like we mentioned, if you've just joined us, he's just got off a plane from Germany running for Porsche iRacing over there. And here he is driving car 2, Scott's car, inside row number 2. So having a good night so far, Josh.
Yeah, for sure. The championship as well at the moment's really close. I mean, Madison did well, I think, at Monza to jump him in that stop and then back it up with car speed. But Josh is having a good run so far. And obviously with Jared getting that first win at Monza was awesome to see. Great to see our car out in front getting the first race win. I saw on Instagram as well. Ryan spotted it. Got to see the win. So where's he watching from tonight, I wonder? I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know. He's in Australia. I believe he's in Australia. Okay. So, yeah, he'll be watching that, and good to see him get a win already so early in the championship. Hard to pick on that list who is due for a big result. Ethan Grigoltz had good speed tonight. This is a really difficult track. They also had their Bathurst 1000 race. They all have a separate series which they run in, and Bathurst was on Saturday, just gone. So they're all working on setups for that. Then Phillip Island, and then Monza. But the forgotten track tonight, Bryony, could be Suzuka. They still need to have a good setup for tonight.
Absolutely, and Jake Burton's starting on the second row there. I think that's probably the best starting spot he's had tonight from memory. Could be completely wrong, but watch out for him on the second row.
Hopefully he's got his bad start out of the way at Monza. So there's the two Walkinshaw Andretti United boys wearing the exact same gear that Scott Pye's got on. They are part of that team, and it's so good to see the Supercars teams, and it's not just a token entry into the field. They are really into it. No, exactly. The teams are right behind. We've got Brad here tonight who's obviously supporting it as well. We've got Jason from Boost down here who's obviously watching on for these guys here at GRM, but it is a real investment the teams have made here. They're genuinely interested in what's happening here, and for our partners as well, opens us up to a whole new demographic. So for our sponsors and everything, they're right behind this. You know, for me to come here, it was obviously a good opportunity, but we've also had the guys in the shop. We've had Jared at the racetrack, so you know they're integrating. You know, they really are a part of the team.
I think I can also see Tom from the Red Bull Holden Racing team enjoying a choc top.
Nice.
So he's putting in the hard yards as well tonight. Thank you, Tom, for being here and doing everything you can to help Dane. Yeah, good one.
So very cool to have some of the real Supercars people from the paddock here tonight, including Brad Jones, like you mentioned. Not too far away from getting a race start here. How cool are the Logitech steering wheels that they're all using? So everyone's using the same stuff. But again, this is the only night that they're all going to be here. So rounds 2 to 6, they're racing from home. And that will be using their own gear, a range of gear then. So they've got the Logitech stuff tonight, the Logitech driving force wheels, doing an amazing job. That force feedback stuff is really, really important. Let's go racing for the final time tonight. Madison Down, can he bank another race win to finish the night in the Shannons entry? Can Richard Hampstead get the job done in the next level team? Away we go at Suzuka. No wheel spin for Madison there. Qualifying around here is going to be so important. I think overtaking is going to be tough. He just covers him down at turn 1. We won't get a centre cross moment like we had back in 1990. And who's the man on the outside? I think it might have been Josh Rogers. Yeah, Richard went defensive there through turn 1, kept the tight line. Oh, contact between Phil Sell and Dane Warren. He got him in the left rear quarter panel. Hopefully no bent steering for the 22. I reckon now's when you have a real crack. Around here, overtaking is going to be hard. So this first lap, this is the opportunity to make most of it. Hard early. We go on board with our race 2 winner, driving for Walkinshaw Andretti United. Here comes that long Dunlop curve. It's fast, puts a lot of weight on the right-hand side, and then a pair of quick right-handers. This is Degner. Lots of curve there by a few of them. So I don't believe there's a slowdown for that curb, but you do need to just be a little bit careful. particularly if it's a normal iRacing event where you can pick up the points. Up to the hairpin. Josh Rogers, defensive. Oh! Push and shove as Burton checked up mid-corner. So Rogers actually on the attack here, trying to get the spot from Hampstead. Look how much front end that car has got. It's pointy.
Really needs to get in there because we can see at the moment Madison's just clearing out, so he's got to get this move done.
They fan out a little bit for Spoon Curve. This corner was re-profiled soon after the track opened in the 60s. Added some runoff to it.
You see this every now and then. I think Richard's really just got to start looking forward. It's hard at the opening part of a lap when there's so much pressure on, but you just got to put the eyes forward, stop looking in the mirrors and run your own race. Try and, you know, he's obviously got speed qualifying on the front row, so he needs to just put his head down, try and open up a gap.
This is quick, 130R. What's the front grip like? There's Jake Burton working away. Dunlop, Brad Jones Racing. Passing opportunity at Casio.
Looks like he's in a recliner there with that Dunlop jacket over the back. Looks comfy.
Pretty comfy. Certainly not as hot and sweaty as it would be. Yes, as Suzuka. Oh,
into the lane early.
So this is a real wild card play from Jake Burton at Brad Jones Racing, pitting on lap 1. And I think he may have brought someone with him then as well. So he'll have clean racetrack and first onto a new set of tyres.
I think that's a good option. We can see at the moment with Richard backing everyone up, there's a good chance here where he can come out in clean air and get that car up front.
It's a loan, I guess, but he'll have to repay later in the race when those tyres go off. But he will at least borrow some track position early. Down the leader, Hampstead second, Josh Rogers, Dane Warren fourth for Red Bull. The driver missing out of that pack now, Jake Burton first to pit. Ford and Myers haven't been able to make too much of a move from the back of the grid. They're all pretty much where they started.
You can see now Richard's settling into a bit of a rhythm and he's just maintaining that gap to Madison, but Madison certainly put his head down in that opening lap.
Queuing up behind him.
Lunch. Someone's going to have a big lunch here.
It's building. This could be the spot.
There we go.
At the hairpin. Oh, carried some good entry speed. This is Josh Muggleton that we ride on board with for Knight Rider.
You can hear the tyres working.
And we did see an early pit stop, so a good chance to check in with our Melbourne-based pit reporter, Jonathan Simon. Jonathan, what did you think of the early stop from Jake Burton?
Jake's been talking to me about how he thinks an early pit stop's going to help get himself in some clear air and then possibly lap away here very quickly without having to deal with traffic. So look out for him once everybody else makes their stop. But with such a hot track temp, you'd think his tyres are going to drop off towards the end of the event.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I can't see him getting 7 odd laps out of a set of tyres here to the checkered flag. 8 laps, in fact. Casio, that was a big slide mid-corner for Rogers. He did a good job to save it.
These guys are fighting each other so hard, though. They're going to be killing the tyres anyway. I think that's why Josh has had to take the dive in. They'll pay the price anyway if they stay out there and chew the tyres and lose lap time.
So Rogers in. And what is this fight going to be like now? We'll get a real answer between he and Jake Burton. What was Burton's outlap like? We're about to find out. It's about 30 seconds to transit the lane and take about 8 seconds worth of time getting 4 tyres. You can take fuel as well. It works out. Jonathan Simon did the numbers. You can take about 18 litres of fuel in the time it takes to take 4 tyres. So you can start with a lighter tank.
The other thing that we'll note as well, I think, later in the race is those that do stay out, like Jared, a few have peeled off in front of him and has managed to clean up some air, so he's going to be able to put his head down now and close that gap before he pits.
It's the rejoin. It's tight. He has to really commit to the outside at turn 1. They meet on the apex at
Run
turn
him wide.
1.
Squeeze him out.
And they have to bang doors. And on cold tyres, car 2 is struggling. Rogers out on his feet for a moment. Around the outside goes Burton. It's a hold your moment, hold your breath moment. He's pulled it off.
That was a really good move.
And with the team boss here to watch tonight, that is a big move from the Dunlop Brad Jones Racing driver. Scrap and fight and take every spot you can get. And it's not over yet. Big slide through Dunlop, ironically, for the Dunlop car.
That's a big move around the outside there.
And he's got him back. So Rogers then runs it slightly wide at Degner. This is the scrap of the night so far.
It's good as well, though. As soon as those tyres are in, the rears on Josh's car are going to have so much more grip, even just with that couple laps up his sleeve. It's important to get that done, though, and get the clean air so he can now use that green tyre.
He's only got that 1 extra lap advantage, but it'll help around here with this
massive track tip. The man in the background's Josh Muggleton. He'll be liking what he can see up the road, trying to reel these guys in. But that was a big move from Josh Rogers.
They're going to be hoping they haven't lost too much time in that battle, though, because as others start the pit, this is where he really needed to jump Richard. If that cost him too much and Richard comes out in front of him, then it's all done. Richard's got fresher tyres and still track position.
Yeah, well, you sort of negate the undercut by scrapping with someone on the racetrack, so that may have cost him some time. It's been a really big year for Josh Rogers. Signing for Walkinshaw Andretti United is the icing on the cake. Picked up the VRS GT Racing World Championship driving for Coanda Sim Sports, so that is a huge effort. He's currently leading the Porsche Super Cup Championship. One race left, Scott. It pays 50k to win. He's just 19 years of age. He's having a very, very good year.
He is. I think he's pretty nervous about that one as well. There's a lot of pressure riding on that, and he is close at the top of that championship. So leading it at the moment, see if he can hang on to it.
Is he going to be leading this race once this pit stop window is closed? So Hobson in. He's also brought Ian Ford with him in the boost mobile entry.
I think this will be real close.
Up they come, and there they go. There goes Rogers, and waiting on Jake Burton to enter the frame as well. So they've managed to get around him.
What that shows, though, is how big tyre deg is. So the undercut was massive, so
huge.
It
Even
will be
the scrap
interesting.
they were in. So I just wonder if the race leader might have gone a bit long here as well. Down has dropped back a few spots as well. So it's now Warren Jones down the top three. Down Hampstead, Rogers, the first to have made their way out of the pits. So Hampstead able to pick up one or two, or at least hold off those spots in the pit stop window by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think that really could have cost Josh then. I think it's only a second between himself and Richard, and that really could have all been done with that battle on the outlap.
I mean, hypothetically, he should have covered them with the undercut. It shows you how much time he lost. Go back on board with Rogers.
Yeah, I got that wrong, actually. I thought he had jumped them, but they've maintained, I think, that 1 second to Richard, but it looks like 2 seconds from Richard to Madison, though. I think he had it comfortable.
So what do you do if you're Dane Warren here in the Red Bull car? He was sideways then going through 130R, and he's backing it in at Casio. Does he pit now and give up the undercut? Knowing that those guys had a battle behind him, he comes in. Oh, that was close to the pit entry fence. And wipes off the speed to serve his pit stop. That just leaves Emily Jones as the last driver on track, yet to make a stop. And she's in the lane as well, so there you go. So last two drivers to pit. Who's going to win the final race of the night? Down the effective leader. Warren and Jones in the lane, and the rest of the pack are in the Casio chicane, which leads you onto the front straight. Watch that Red Bull car to jump out of the lane. Where will it reappear? Presumably somewhere around that Rogers, Philsell, Burton battle. About to find out. Here comes Hampstead and just gets Rogers. So that shows you again just how much time they lost. This has played out really nicely for Warren. He's third on the track and with the best tyres.
Yeah, I think if he had gone a little bit longer, he might have lost some track position, but interesting going there in sort of the middle of the race. He could have maybe gone a little bit later and just had really fresh tyres, because with only a couple of laps overlap, it's still going to be hard to overtake now.
So Hampstead in a reverse case scenario to what we saw in race one. Now it's the Red Bull car putting the pressure on the next level, Commodore.
I'm impressed. I mean, the amount that car was moving around before he pitted, I thought he would have had to have been bleeding, but he's hung on in there well.
There's Dane Warren, a picture of concentration.
I haven't seen many of them blink tonight.
No. Taking in as much information as possible. He has a quick breath as they approach the hairpin. Dying stages of the opening round. Three really entertaining races, Monza and Suzuka in particular. Oh, really good exit from Dane Warren. Has he got the overlap? Oh, not quite. Have to be patient again now. Where is he thinking? Can he set him up out of 130R? Make the move at the chicane. Oh, no, he gets the dirt on the right side, nearly loses it at the spoon curve. That was a quick save.
I think around here, the exit's really important. He's got good tyres, so I think you just focus on his run out of the corners and you'll be able to get him.
Tucked in the slipstream, we go over the bridge.
It'd be good to see him throw it down here in 130.
That would be seriously brave.
I think he should do it for us anyway.
Go on. No full send. This time, as we check out the Logitech data, they are doing over 200 kilometres per hour, and he's lost so much speed mid-corner there that he can't even get the job done at Casio. And as a result, Josh Rogers will close in as well.
Jared's moved up a little bit in this race as well.
Yeah, we've got Walkinshaw cars sitting inside the top few spots. He's moved up the field nicely here. The other driver who picked up some spots there as well was Emily Jones in the pit stop window. And again, the workplace law crowd are happy with that. Our live studio audience at Gfinity tonight. So again, we're seeing the queue start to form behind Richard Hampstead. Can he bring it home? Long way to go, yeah.
He's had a tough race of defending.
And he's going to have to be some mirror driving before the end of this one. To go next time by on a 5.8 kilometre circuit, so long way home.
We're going to have to see Dane. I think he's going to send it. He's got to at some point. He's got a good run here.
He's going to go to serious pressure himself because he's got the very fast Josh Rogers on approach through Degner.
At this point, no, he's just got to keep looking out the windscreen, not worry about what's behind him. He's got car speed anyway, so he needs to just get in a position where he can send it down the inside, make it happen.
Float the car up towards.
Get a good run out of here.
The hairpin. Here we go. 3-car battle now for second. Certainly filling the mirrors right now with white, blue, red, and yellow. That's part of the track. Float the car up through the spoon curve, aptly named. Oh, he's wide, and there's an overlap this time.
There we go. Still could hang on the outside.
Should make this stick, surely, Dane Warren. He does. Now, how does the 2 play himself into this battle? Should be able to get a run on the next level car. Can we go side by side through 130R?
Dane's just got to really leave him bare minimum here.
Oh, he's bet him wide. Josh Rogers is hooked on that left rear. He's got a real run.
Here.
He does. They are on the absolute limit.
This is where Josh can set up a switchback.
Phil Self should be in this as well now because they're costing each other some time.
Struggling for drive. Phil Self could be on here.
Phil Self's reeling him in. So down now. Warren second, Hampstead third, then the pair of Walkinshaw cars fourth and fifth. Lap times that time by 2:07 for Madison Down. Bathurst times really 2:07.7 for Dane Warren, and both Hampstead and Rogers in the 2:08s in this little battle pack. Fastest car last lap, Emily Jones. So she's using those fresh tyres nicely at the moment. She's 7th. Can she catch the back of Jake Burton? Remember, Burton first to pit. As a result, 2:08.2, so he's really struggling, but managing just to hold on to it. Muggleton and Myers out the back. I'm not sure what happened to Josh Muggleton in this race. 2:08.8, his best lap, so struggling potentially with some damage. Maybe picked up a knock early.
I think it took Dane a little bit too long to get past him. He's probably used up the best of his tyres, but I think Madison's going to be hard to catch here now. If he had maybe got the move done straight away, early out of the pits, might have had a shot. I think chase him down, but it'd be interesting.
The gap is 3.6 seconds. We'll keep an eye on it. Will it come down? There is Josh Rogers.
Come on, Josh, send it in there.
What a big year it's been for this guy so far. Like we mentioned, he's now a world champion in the VRS GT series, but he's picked up 24-hour wins at the Le Mans, Nürburgring, and Daytona races.
Good list. Good list.
Incredible year he's having, just 19 years of age, and the youngest in the field. We'll have to start wording up Ryan Walkinshaw for an evaluation drive, maybe.
Nah, I'm all right.
Yeah, I think
keep him on the sim.
You'll be quite happy where you are. He's clearly got a lot of talent. He does a lot of karting as well, so went through that pathway. He's turned his attention to sim racing. So Dane Warren is driving away from these guys. What was a 3.6 second gap? It's down to 3.4.
Jared's right there now as well. I'll be interested to see what happens at the end of the race.
I like how Jared's got the white wheels on. That's helping me tonight.
Oh, I've only just noticed that.
It was the first time you really noticed it. The 2 cars together. Old school. Here's your race leader. 2 to go for Madison Down. Just over 10 kilometres of Suzuka. Track-based few hours train ride south of Tokyo.
They're going to be playing it smart, but it'd be nice to see someone just send it in big, wouldn't it? Right at the end of the race.
See a scrap.
Last couple of laps, I think we're going to see someone just have a big dip.
Well, the 2 Walkinshaw cars are looking ominous.
Maybe not those 2.
They've got the speed. So last laps, gee, not much in it between the leaders. Dane Warren just a 1/10 of a second quicker than Madison Down, and what was a 3.4 second gap is now a 3.39 second gap, so it's almost negligible gap coming down very slowly.
This is good to see, but it's hard being the second driver in the team. You know, you're obviously conscious that it's your teammate. I think Jared's got pace, but he'll know as well, though, that Josh is being held up here. So he's going to want to have a go because there's an opportunity, but at the same time, I think that if Josh was clear of Richard as well, both of our guys at Walkinshaw could move forward and get a gap. So I think Jared's going to allow Josh to have a go. If he doesn't get it done, though, I'm sure by the end of the race, Jared's going to be wanting to have his own shot.
Yeah, well, we've seen this at Red Bull before where they try and orchestrate this.
Yeah, I was just thinking, this reminds me of, I think it was...
Lowndes and Van Gisbergen.
Lowndes and Van Gisbergen. It's like, let me pass, and if I can't get him, give it back. But
yeah, I think when there's a difference in tyre quality, you'd allow that at the moment. They seem pretty similar in speed. So it'd be hard for one to give it up when they're right in the back of the car in front. I think here you've got to run your own race. Obviously, keep in mind it's your teammate, don't do anything silly, but you just got to race each other hard and try and keep it clean.
Here comes the fast bit. Hampstead is steadied for third spot.
They're in a luxury with a gap behind as well, so someone can have a go here and not lose out too much if it doesn't work out, which we saw at Phillip Island.
Yes.
Be able to redress it, carry on racing without really losing any other positions.
Hampstead is keeping his cool. He's got two of the most fancy drivers in world sim racing behind him, and I mean that when I say anywhere in the world, because Josh Rogers, definite international pedigree, but so too is Jared Filsell running in the International Super Cup Championship. In the background, Emily Jones has caught and passed Jake Burton, so she's got that move made for 6th. That's a really nice job from Emily Jones, making the most of the tyre life. Ooh. Burton with a moment on the brakes down at turn 1, so
Emily's driving that car nice and straight, getting off the turns well, not too much curve there.
And again, she is really quick at the moment in the 208s that time, but only because she caught Jake Burton, who's now really struggling in the 209s after his early pit stop. 3/10 has been taken out of the race leader, but he's going to run out of laps yet. Still 3 seconds on the dot between Down and Warren. What a good start to the championship for Madison Down. Just needs to bring it home. Half a lap to go. Filsell pouring the pressure on still to his teammate.
Josh is right on him here. It's hard. Richard there's just defending well, putting the car in the right spot. He's got wide here, but I think he can. Oh, I think he can hang on there. Just putting the car just in the right spot.
Some really good defensive driving so far tonight. This is where he let someone through earlier when Warren managed to sneak through. Has he learned from that, I imagine, earlier?
It's hard when he's running out of tyres here. He's struggling to keep it tight and exit. I think this is where he could become vulnerable up into 130R as the exit. If he can't keep it tight, I think he has. You can see there he's not using all the exit. He's just making sure he's positioning the car well.
Rogers had a bit of a wiggle then too. So here comes your race leader. It's settled after the pit stop window.
Do we see some donuts after this?
I hope so.
We have to tell Bryony to hold back on the interview so we can see some donuts.
I'll tell him to maybe interview him while he's doing some donuts. That'd be pretty cool. Cassio corners for the last time. And what a night it's been for the Shannons team. 2 out of 3 for Madison Down, getting the job done at Suzuka. Big winner, chased home by Dane Warren. Oh, big moment in the background. Jared Filsell with a slide
just
all
doing
the way.
it for the crowd. Just doing it for the crowd.
Just damping it up, and maybe a bit of sweat on the brow for our race winner. Madison Down got it done, and he will be leading the championship off to Bathurst for round number 2. That was a smooth drive, and just had to hold his nerve early, sort through that pit stop window. A little bit of pressure late in the race from Dane Warren. There's the drivers. There we go. We're going to start to fire it up, and our live audience like what they see. Cleared for burnouts.
Nice one. There we go. Stay into it.
Everyone's going to have to check up for a moment as our race winner fogs it up, going up through the S's.
Get out of the way. Let me do a burnout.
And if you've ever wondered why there's fines for not doing burnouts in the designated areas in supercars, this is why. That is cool. Celebrating in style. Madison Down is our race winner. In front of the Shannons fans here tonight, let's make some noise for Madison Down, winner of race 3, Bryony.
Yeah, congratulations, Madison, giving the crowd what they want, an awesome burnout, but bookending the first round with another race win. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Can't have finished that in a better way. Great once again to have the Shannons car up the front and lights the flag win. So really, really happy with my pace.
It's been a really unique night, not only for yourself, but all of our drivers here, because you're racing not only alongside each other, but with a live audience. We go back to the comfort of your own home next week, or next round, but it is also the Bathurst Enduro. Tell me about your thoughts about that one.
Yeah, big race. Everyone wants to win Bathurst, so a bit different format as well. So quite a long race, 41 laps. So interesting to see, totally different. We can see we've got a fast car for these short races, but let's see how we go in the Enduro.
So what do you do now? You're guys all going to go out and celebrate and debrief, wind down? Because you don't get this opportunity very often, do you, at all?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a bit of a different one. Yeah. We don't normally get to see each other after the races, so I'm sure there'll be some handshakes and maybe some arguments after that one. But yeah, I can't wait to catch up with all the guys and hear about all the stories.
Well, it's been fantastic having you here tonight. I'm sure the Shannons representatives, one more time, have been loud and proud all night. Great to have them here. Congratulations on a job well done, and we will check in with you for the next round at Bathurst.
Thanks, Bryony.
Cheers.
Well done to Madison Down, winner of race 3. Let's check out exactly how he did it. There was a shining moment, maybe, where Hampstead might have been able to just get the overlap. They use a Grand Prix style grid where the winner, the pole man, is on the outside of the grid, so there's always that possibility. There was this moment early. Hampstead checked up, contact with Rogers and also Burton. And it was Burton who was first to pit. This was a really aggressive strategy, Scott.
It was, but at this point in the race, it was being held up anyway, so I think it's worth the risk. Maybe didn't pay off, but worth the punt.
Ended up coming home mid-pack in 7th. And that was the moment right there at the rejoin, he and Josh Rogers, and these two scrapped it out. This was an awesome battle.
It was. That really, I think, cost both of them a little bit of time. I don't know. I think maybe one position it probably cost them at the end of the day with losing the advantage of that undercut.
I'm not sure which move I like better. That one around the outside, going up through turns 3 and 4. But only a few corners later, Josh Rogers...
I'm biased. I know which one I like better.
...was able to repay the favour and get him back. There is Dane Warren in the Red Bull Holden Racing Team car. He had a pretty steady night as well, picked up a few top 3 performances.
Yeah, for sure. I'm coming home really well in that last race, but I think even the battle at Phillip Island, I enjoyed seeing that. I think it was good to see the two guys duke it out. I don't know what Craig Dontis, the DSO, will think of it, but I thought it was really good. And tonight to see him come through, unlucky not to get the jump there. I think if we'd have seen him get past earlier, he might have actually had a real shot at running Madison down, but probably just used the best of the tyres at that point.
So rejoined in 3rd, poured the pressure onto the back of Richard Hampstead, and eventually got the spot done at the Spoon Curve. Just needed that little bit of room to work with. Worked him nicely, and then watch the 2 Walkinshaw cars buy into this.
Richard had great speed in qualifying, but I think maybe more a qualifying car than a race car. But one of the drives of the nights, I think, to hold off those guys for the way he did with a car that probably wasn't the fastest out there. He had to drive it really straight and narrow, but yeah, certainly did a good job to hang on there.
Yeah, earned his podium, and this guy earned his race win. 2 out of 3 tonight for Madison Down in front of the live audience tonight at Gfinity Studios. That is a really, really big win, and he's won 2 of the first 3 races of the season. What a way to start.
Fantastic start. You know what, I reckon if we asked them all, they'd want to just start all over again. Like, okay.
Especially those that didn't win. Yeah,
no, we've got the nerves out of the way. You know, we're ready to go. Let's just start all over again and do it.
And a bit of a sweat going as well, Madison, there. So they're working
it's hard
away.
work there, yeah.
The big advantage now, though, they get to go back home, get the familiar setting, because sim racing is such a personal thing. You get so used to the way things are set up. So it was a massive thing for these guys and girls to come out and use other equipment and sit next to each other.
Yeah, for sure. It's no different to if I was to swap cars with James Courtney. Our cars are effectively the same, but our ergonomics are slightly different. What we like is slightly different. We even saw some bare feet tonight, some in socks, some in race boots, some in... I actually didn't see any work boots, but big boots. You know, there's a real vary of what people like to operate in and how they like everything set up. But I think when we go home, there'll be a few that will be happy to be back in their own sim.
Yeah, it's great to see the Logitech gear tonight in very good use. I guess you could call it the control wheel of the night. So that has led us to, for the final time tonight, our Shannons classic moment. Let's see what it is. A reminder to get onto the E-Series website to vote for your favourite moment. And will it be this guy tonight, Josh Rogers versus Jake Burton? This was definitely one of the scraps of the night. Scott, talk us through this one.
Yeah, this was great. I think there was a really good exchange across both manoeuvres there. It's hard to pick. I mean, I'm obviously biased. I'm going to go the Walkinger Andretti United coming out in front there, but the move to switch back out of one, I think there was really good as well. But certainly to come out, obviously, at the end there, you have to pick that as move of the night. He come out in front and held on.
A really, really good battle pack, that one. And remember, voting is going to be open now that we've had our first 3 classic moments. So E-Series websites where you can do it. $500 for our home viewer and also $500 for the racer of the winner's choice tonight, which might have to be split because we had a couple of battles that made their way through. So that is our final Shannons classic moment of the night. Whew, very, very cool. Like I mentioned, we've got $500 up for grabs for whoever gets on and votes for that tonight. Remember to go to the E-Series website. You can check out everything you need to know about this series. But first, let's just figure out exactly where they all finished in that final race of the night. We saw Madison Down domination through 2 of the 3 races and got the job done from Dane Warren. Really big move on Richard Hampstead. So, Jake Burton, winners and losers. I mean, he was in that front pack, took the early pit stop. You don't have an engineer in your ear telling you when to pit. You have to make that call from the wheel.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, though, I think it was worth the risk at the time. Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing, be a nice superpower, but I think he made a good call at the time. Didn't pay off for him. We saw, though, it was pretty hard to overtake, so you got to do something different sometimes.
We did get a post-race penalty handed out. Ethan Grigg-Gault picked up a time penalty, so dropped down a spot behind Josh Muggleton. So the Boost Mobile team had a bit of a difficult night tonight. Ethan and Ian, though, are very highly fancy drivers, so we're looking to bounce back for the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a really strong result there from Emily Jones. Cue applause from the Workplace Floor Racing team for the final time.
I like it. All right, we're not too far away from wrapping up the action. We'll get in one last break. We're going to be coming back to check out the point score from round number 1.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip to London and the 2020 Goodwood Revival, one of the biggest historic motorsport events in the world. Plus, tour through the English countryside in a Jaguar F-Pace for 15 days, visiting historic locations and unique motoring museums, with up to $5,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win a new Indian FTR 1200S motorcycle. To enter, get a quote on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive, your bike or home. Take out a new policy for even more chances of winning. Call Shannons on 134646 or go online today.
trip to London for the 2020 Goodwood Revival, a fantastic celebration of motorsport covering the 40s, 50s and 60s. But there's also the chance to win this beast, the Indian FTR 1200S. To enter, just go to shannons.com.au and request a quote. It's been a big night for the opening round of the Gfinity Supercars Eseries, brought to you by Shannons. And it's the Shannons team who have really cleaned up in the opening night. Madison Down, winner of race 1. He backed that up with another good race at Monza and then a really good race at Suzuka to go 2 from 3 the opening night of the championship. It's Madison Down and the Madison Down crew here tonight for Shannons are very happy to see him now top of the ladder. And that is a pretty good score. 126 out of a possible 150 points. Not a bad way to start. Richard Hampstead slots in a second. So, Scott Pye, that shows how important that drive was from Richard Hampstead late in the race to be fending off so many cars.
I think as well, Monza seems to have played a bigger part than I thought it would have actually with that coming through for 5th. I think he finished there. So good recovery from the back of the field with the reverse grid, but obviously 2 wins. It's hard to not be leading the championship. We won 2 out of 3, but from our perspective, awesome to see us get a win already as well. So yeah, I think Madison's going to be tough to beat, but there's a few guys right in there. I think that even seeing Dane come through at Suzuka was really impressive.
It was a really tough night for Brady Myers. Looked to be getting a really good result in race 2, but then had that drive-through penalty in the Fox Sports entry.
Yeah, really tough. I think he'll be really disappointed with tonight's results, but I think he'll bounce back. I think that a lot of people, now that we've had the first round, they'll go back, they'll debrief, they'll learn about what they need to do right, what they need to do better. And as we've mentioned, I don't think we can underestimate the importance of the next one being at home in their own own equipment.
Could be totally different results.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's one thing as well, you never, in a long championship, this is a fairly long championship, you can't let one result affect the next. So I think he did a good job tonight to get through Monza. That's what happened. You put it in the back pocket, remember it, learn from it, but don't let it affect the next result. And I think, once they get home back in their comfort zone.
You can drop 2 races, so I'm getting the feeling that maybe Brady's just going to throw tonight out and focus on the later part in the championship. From here we go to Bathurst. I mean that in both a literal and virtual sense, because we cannot wait to go to the mountain, and it all starts here Tuesday night, October 8. 250 kilometres, so it's the identical thing that what we see in the Dunlop Super 2 race. Scott, 1,000 kilometres is one thing, but 250 Ks with no co-driver, that's going to be a really tough night.
It is, yeah. I mean, our development series, Super 2, they do a long race endurance. It is hard on your own. So for us, we've got potentially a triple stint at the end of the race. It's bloody tough, but certainly we saw how much they're sweating tonight. They're still working hard, even though they're in a closed environment with the air conditioning on. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting race. There's going to be a real strategy to keep the car straight around there. It's easy to bend something and lose some time in the pits.
And 150 points to win, so
huge.
That changes everything.
Absolutely, there's a lot on the line. But before we let you go for your guest appearance here, Bathurst, the real one, the Bathurst 1000, as we've mentioned throughout the night, you've been on the podium there a couple of times in recent years. How are you feeling heading into the biggest race of the year?
Yeah, really good. We've obviously, like you said, had a couple of good results there, but there's no guarantees based off previous results. So we go there, everyone's on a level playing field. It's been a tough championship for us. There's no denying it. We've struggled, but we're putting a lot of emphasis on Bathurst. As a team there, if you can do a good job throughout the day, keep the car straight, you're in a good position for the end of the race. My training and everything's gone really well in the lead up. There's no one that's unfit in our championship anymore, so we need to be able to perform at 110% all day with no mistakes, and the best man will come out on top. There's not been, for me personally, there's not been a point where I've walked away from that race feeling like I should have won it yet. Hopefully this is the year that we can get it done and genuinely deserve to get the win at the end of the day.
I wish you all the best, and I truly do mean that.
I'm sure you do. And it's great to have you here tonight, Scott, so thank you. A big thank you to everyone who's pitched in around here at Gfinity to make tonight possible, and to Supercars, and to our broadcast partners, of which there are many, including Fox Sports. Looking forward to the Bathurst channel starting, and everyone who's watched on Twitch or anywhere else that we've been streaming. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to everyone in the live studio tonight as well. We hope you enjoyed the opening round of the Gfinity Supercars Eseries, brought to you by Shannons. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.